Welcome to Auckland, New Zealand and the iconic Sky Tower. This is the 15th year of the New Zealand Firefighter 9/11 Memorial, where we remember 69 New Zealand firefighters lost in the line of duty, and the FDNY's 343 killed on a day that the world will never forget. Representing New York this year, retired Commander Bob Maines and senior man John Feeler. Both men were on the job and responded on 9/11.
As we were heading down the West Side Highway, the second tower was just coming down. In this job, you know that they were going inside to try to save people. That's what we do. And that's why I say their names all the time, because their children, their grandchildren, their neighbors, and people that have never heard of September 11th need to know what they did that day. And it's a remarkable thing. It really is.
Fire and Emergency New Zealand are proud to support this event. The New Zealand Firefighter 9/11 Memorial.
A couple of people that have
Welcome
come
to
down
Tamaki
from the
Makaurau
States.
in Auckland
said,
City.
"Yeah, we made the
In
right
the shadow
move,
of Auckland's Sky Tower,
it's an
we have an
awesome
opportunity
time."
to
And
remember
they said that
the
the
events
process
of the
Thomas
11th
Simpson
of
wasn't crazy.
September.
They said it was
The
pretty
Twin
easy.
Towers in
You know,
New
they got
York
their,
and the events that
their work
unfolded
visa,
were
and
a
then they had an
staggering
extension,
loss
and
of
they said
life.
within 3.
Today you get the opportunity to remember our first responders that attended the incident and also the first responders from New Zealand. Bravery, sacrifice and service underpin the fire service in many countries, and it's an opportunity to recognise that and keep the names of those that were affected by the service to their communities alive. So today we'll get an opportunity under the Sky Tower where firefighters from around New Zealand and around the world will come together, and we will hear the names read of the 343 New York firefighters that perished in the Twin Tower event, and also the 69 New Zealand firefighters that have lost their lives in the service to our communities. So join me today
like
in Tamaki
everything is
Makaurau
on
in
the way up
Auckland
here.
as
And just
we
by walking around
remember our
downtown
fallen
and seeing
firefighters.
how they're doing a lot of work here.
So
and, you know,
before we move forward with today's events,
wasn't going to
let's
say
take a
anything.
look at
You
the
know, when you
past
do have to
and
dig
the
a
past
when you
events
do
that
have to
we've
dig a
had here.
tunnel, it's sort of a pain in the ass on an existing city. I mean, they do it continually by us, but it's like they're sort of used to it by now. So, so we went to the Central Library where Scotty's
Rescue 2, Firefighter William Lake, Firefighter Daniel Libretti, Lieutenant Peter Martin, Firefighter John Napolitano, Firefighter Kevin O'Rourke, Firefighter Eddie Rawl, Firefighter Lincoln Quape. Rescue 2.
The fire department has always been tradition-based in passing along each of those traditions to the next person to come on. And I think we kind of reflect that here.
When we go to operations, we're doing things that were passed down from lessons learned in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And never forgetting the tradition, the pride, the lessons learned on this job, and the price that was paid to learn those lessons.
The guys who are working here now don't make it great. It's the traditions and all the guys that came before us that make this place great.
Here at Rescue 2, our primary responsibility is for firefighter rescue and any type of special operations that occurs. A special operation would be something like a high-angle rescue, scuba diving incident, collapse, but our primary responsibility is firefighter rescue.
This is the 4th firehouse Rescue 2's had. Rescue 2 was organized March 1st, 1925. We moved here in 2019, November, so we're here about 3 years. Here's pretty much something very important to the company. It's our memorial to 9/11. There's some significance in how we constructed it and built it. If you look, the brick and wainscoting It resembles the firehouse where we were housed for 9/11, which was Bergen Street. So if you were looking to go into Bergen Street, this was kind of how it looked in Bergen Street. So we tried to make it look very similar as a tribute to that firehouse as well. The riding list from 9/11, this is from Bergen Street, the 7 members that were lost that day. We have Trade Center steel that we were able to obtain, and we have some tools that were recovered molded to it. On the wall here, we have our door from the rig that day that we salvaged, and we have it as a memorial. And if you step back and look up in the ceiling, we have the side panel from the rig that was cut off. We have it as a memorial as well. Most firehouses, and this one for sure, are almost like museums because it's the home of that company.
The door here, like, there's a lot of legendary New York City firemen that worked in Rescue 2 that rode out this door on Bergen Street. So I think it's important to have it here.
We found a lot of old gear that was, hidden away. So guys thought it would be a good idea to take it, and they call it the Little Rescue 2 Museum here. But it's just some things from our past that kind of keep us grounded in our past so that we can stay focused on our future. As you walk up the wall here, the stairwell here, you'll see pictures of the company from various decades. In addition to 9/11, we also have lost members at other operations. So we have some things hanging around from that. We have Louis Valentino was killed in a collapse in 1996. Billy Moon, unfortunately, lost his life last year in a training accident in a firehouse.
On this wall, you'll see a lot of familiar faces. My father, Lieutenant Kevin Dowdell, he was a fireman here. He was killed on September 11th.
Yeah, that's my father right there.
I have pictures of me and my brother standing in front of this door when we were kids. I remember my father coming to work loving it because the guys that are here are best in the world. So to me, to be in Rescue 2 and to be a part of this is just humbling, and just try to carry on what they started.
My father was a member of Rescue 2 from 1972 to 1985. I grew up as a young kid coming to the parties. Today, walking the hallways, whether it was here or Bergen Street, and I'm able to recognize faces on the wall from when I was a little boy and just realize that I'm trying to continue what they started or what they were continuing in the 70s. There's going to be a day when there's not going to be a guy who was on the job on 9/11. It's just the way time goes. You come here, you see the steel. You come here, you see the tools. You come here, you see the faces on the wall. It's impossible to not feel that almost like spiritual connection to them. And the one thing that you can't see in this place is the commitment of the company. And the reminder of the sacrifices the company's made keeps the motivation of the members very high to continue that service.
Firefighter William Lake, Firefighter Daniel Libretti, Lieutenant Peter Martin, Firefighter John Napolitano, Firefighter Kevin O'Rourke, Firefighter Eddie Rawl, Firefighter Lincoln Quape, Rescue 2. Rescue 2. Firefighter William Lake, Firefighter Daniel Libretti,
From Stephen Spall from Rescue 2.
Firefighter William Lake, Firefighter Daniel Libretti, Lieutenant Peter Martin, Firefighter John Napolitano, Firefighter Kevin O'Rourke, Firefighter Eddie Rawl, Firefighter Lincoln Quape, Rescue 2. Rescue 2. Speaking for Rescue 2, it was never my honor to be assigned to them, although I worked through them. They're a tight bunch of guys, and it works for them. Phil Ruvalo, the captain at the time I was there, and the captain on the day of 9/11, would say "The Rescue" when he answered the phone. They're very proud. They stuck together. Pete Martin was a close personal friend. We went through Oklahoma City together. He didn't know me before it. We were good friends thereafter. Peter was the guy that had your back. He was a great instructor, fun guy, really missed by his neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood out in Long Island where he lived really liked him. Most of the guys in Rescue 2 were close, and they only responded to guys in Rescue 2. Pete would go out of his way to say hello to me. His friendship meant a lot. Billy Lake. Billy was hard. He didn't make friends easily. He could be judgmental. I worked with him in Oklahoma City, and after that, he was soft to me anytime. Not an easy guy to get to know, very passionate, all in. Billy was known that if you got in a bad way, Billy was coming for you. Just a phenomenal, dedicated firefighter. He never got decorated for it, but I bet you he'd saved a dozen or more firefighters' lives. John Napolitano. John was a junior guy. Captain Ruvolo was asked to take him. He didn't really want him initially, but John and he went to a fire one day, and John really went above and beyond. And after that, John was Phil Ruvolo's favorite, and it was easy to see. He was a quiet, mild-mannered guy. He was well-respected in the volunteer departments out on Long Island, but he was really proud to be in Rescue 2. He found the Carhartt jackets when they were becoming scarce because Rescue 2 wanted them, and he was kind enough to get me one, even though I wasn't a member of the company. Link Quampe, another hard guy. Go hard, very talented with his hands, especially with a torch. We were in Proby school together. He got busted on for his first name of Lincoln a bit, but I wouldn't challenge him. Eddie Rawl. Eddie wanted to be hard, but he was a kind person. He tried to be as hard and tough as some of the others, but you could see that he was just a gentleman. He really was proud to be in Rescue 2, and he worked hard to learn the tools and to stay. Kevin O'Rourke. Kevin was known for going above and beyond. He crawled into a room to save another fireman, and when he came out, his helmet was on fire. Not an easy thing to do. His eye shields melted. Captain Ruvolo chided him about it, like, couldn't you melt them all away? Couldn't you stay just a little bit longer? His wife recently came to quarters at 54 and 4. She's a nice lady. She left a challenge coin for us. He was considered a gentleman in rescue. He was the kind of guy who would always say hello to you. He came through Squad 1. He earned his spot in Rescue 2 because of the things he did in Squad 1. He was very proud of Squad 1. Some people, when they leave a unit, they act like they never came from there, but he would always shake anybody's hand. He was a good guy. Danny Libretti. Danny was new to Rescue 2. I hadn't covered in a while, and I hadn't really worked with Danny. All I can tell you is that his reputation was stellar. A couple other people I wanted to mention who came through Rescue 2. Timmy Stackpole. My first interaction with Timmy was we had a full gasoline tanker catch fire in the gas station. It looked like a couple of Bunsen burners going. The station attendant thought he was being cheated, and he asked the driver for his flashlight to check the level of it. And the guy wouldn't give him his flashlight, so the station attendant decided to flick his Bic, light his lighter, which ignited the gasoline fumes. We put it out, and Timmy showed up. I remember him telling a new guy in Rescue 2, doesn't matter what we have, you always get off your rig ready to go like it's a fifth alarm. He was telling him to be properly dressed. Timmy had got terribly burnt in the Atlantic Avenue fire, a legendary fire prior to 9/11. He had terrible injuries. He had to have skin grafts. He came back. It was his first set of tours back. It might have been his first tour when he was killed on 9/11. I'll save Kevin for last. Timmy Higgins. Timmy was a Rescue 2 fireman. I saw him make a couple of rescues. He was a family. He was part of the FDNY family in the fact that his father was a legendary captain, and two of his brothers, might even been three of his brothers, were on the job. another hard guy who went to 111, legendary guy. Timmy ended up, he took the test, he got promoted. He was covered in 252 the day of, but he was going to be a lieutenant in a rescue company, if not a captain. He just had it. His drills were famous in the sense that he would give you a drill that involved a lot of tools, and he would have you go through the scenario, and then he would take away one and have you do it again. And then he'd take away another until you had very few tools left, and he wanted you to be able to perform that function with as few tools as possible. Kevin was my relief in Rescue 4. Kevin was a great family man. We were good friends. Kevin had what we called a parade package. He had every medal known to man. He'd made a lot of rescues in some very bad spots, whether they were fires or...
So in the distance we can hear the start of the bagpipes, a sound that was all too common in the days after September the 11th, and it marks the start of our formal part of this memorial, where the bagpiper will lead.
tēnā koutou katoa. Whakatau mai, whakatau mai. Kia rātou kua wehe atu rā, ki wāhi ke haere, haere, haere. Ki ngā manuhiri kua huhui nei i tēnei rā, ki ngā rangatira mā, ki ngā kaimahi, tēnā tātou katoa. Nau mai ki tēnei rā, nau mahara, ki tēnei rā, whakamāharatanga. Tēnei rā, whakatau. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2024 Firefighter Memorial Climb. My name is Amai Rauri, and I've been privileged in being asked to open today with a mihi and a karakia i roto i te reo Māori. Nō reira, kia tika, me tīmata tēnei rā i te karakia. Te karakia nei, te rātonga ahi me ngā ohotata i Aotearoa. Whakatau mai, me tūohu tō mātou māhunga, please bow your heads in this karakia. Kia whakatau mai rā ngā manaakitanga o te kāhui atua, o te kāhui tūpuna. Kia noho haukura ai te taiao, kia noho haumaru ai te tangata. Whakatau mai rā ngā uaratanga ki te pai ngākau, ki te pai hinengaro. O te kāhui rātonga ahi me ngā ohotata i Aotearoa. Ko te tika, ko te manaakitanga, ko te whanaungatanga, ko te auahatanga. Hei oranga tonu tanga mo te kāhui whānui tonu. Tihei Mauri ora. I'll now translate in English. Let us be guided by the care and wisdom of the deities and ancestors to create and maintain environments that flourish. To protect and build communities that thrive, let their core values be embedded in the hearts and the minds of Fire and Emergency New Zealand and our brother-sister firefighters around the world. We do the right thing, kia tika. We serve and support, manaakitanga. We're better together, whanaungatanga, and we strive to improve, auahatanga. For the lasting safety of all, let there be life. Tihei Mauri ora. Tēnā tātou katoa.
Mātua.
I don't think we've got any audio on the plaza.
William Robert McLean Field, Richard Michael Donnelly, Robert Baxter, George Prince, Lescell, Allen, Robert Buth, Walter Haven Malloy, Heard, Eric, Jim Winton, Roy, Ernest, George Olivia, Albert Clark, James Edward Waters, Leslie Newman, William Griffin, Leonard, William Strong, Thomas McCambridge, and Robert Cox.
My name is Dave Woon. I'm the Group Manager for Auckland Central. For your comfort, you may remove your BA sets and place it at your feet in front of you. We've got a while to go in front of us. I'd also like to make special mention of those names that are known to us as I read them out. Noel Matheson, Irvin Heppenstall, Ernest John Powell, Jack Wilkin Morris, Matthew Morton, William Robinson, John Fordyce, George James Oliver, John William Super, John Scott, John Agnew, Jim Jameson, James Hughes, David Sloan, Jim Measures, John Reesink, Paul Gable, Benjamin Payne, Kieran O'Hanlon, Murray Charles Boyd, Grant Ashton, Rolly Webb, Jeff Pilbrow, Ken Brohm, Derek Lovell, Barrett, Barry Keane, William McRae, John Edwin DeRidder, Steve Askin, Dave Zan Wenenberg, Craig Stevens.
So we had reading out the names of the 69 New Zealand firefighters, Dave Woon and Dave Hatton, both GMs in Auckland. Following them to the bucket is the representatives from the FDNY, which is Bob Main and John Feeler. us from New York. It's important to remember that the firefighters that are standing in the crowd here, there's a very big proportion of volunteer firefighters and career paid firefighters. Today's a Wednesday in New Zealand, and there's a lot of attendance from people that are away from their normal duties, be it working as a career firefighter or as a volunteer. So I think it underlines the importance of today's event, that our New Zealand firefighters get to come together and recognise the 69 New Zealand firefighters that have been lost in the service to their community.
I'm proud to follow in the footsteps of my previous consul generals in recognizing the firefighters from the United States and New Zealand for having made the ultimate sacrifice in their line of duty. For those who lived through the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, it can still feel like it happened just yesterday, and yet it's happened over 20 years ago. That's why it's increasingly important for the first responders and firefighters visiting from New York to have the opportunity to engage with audiences of young people who weren't born when the incident at the Twin Towers happened. So it's up to all of us to ensure that young people learn the lessons we learned that day and in the aftermath of the tragedy. Each year here in Auckland, we take part in an event organized by the New Zealand firefighters who decided years ago to honor those brave men and women who answered the call of duty and rushed into action on 9/11 and saved so many lives. We also remember the survivors, the families and friends of those killed in 9/11 who still grieve for their loved ones. And finally, we honor the New Zealand firefighters, fire and emergency personnel who have lost their lives in service to communities. So all of you who risk your lives every day to keep us safe, I offer you my sincere thanks. Your heroism inspires new generations of Americans and Kiwis, and all of us share the values of service, care for our fellow man, and the willingness to put our lives on the line to protect our communities. Those values unite us today and always. Thank you.
Are we going back down, or is he gonna do from down below?
You're gonna go. It was nice having you. Hopefully it makes.
Hot mic. Hang on there.
So we change over a couple of people in the basket. As the American consulate representative leaves the basket, the two New York chiefs will enter the basket, and we will commence reading through the names of the 343 firefighters. This is an important part of what we do, and important for the firefighters here, and obviously the firefighters in New York.
Firefighter Joseph Agnello, Ladder Company 118. Lieutenant Brian Ahern, Engine Company 230. Firefighter Richard Allen, Ladder 15. Battalion Chief James Amato, Squad 1. Firefighter Calixto Anaya, Engine Company 4. Firefighter Joseph Angelini Sr., Rescue Company 1. Firefighter Joseph Angelini Jr., Ladder Company 4. Firefighter Faustino Apostle Jr., Battalion 2. Firefighter David Arce, Engine Company 33. Firefighter Louis Arena, Ladder Company 5. Firefighter Carl Asaro, Battalion 9. Lieutenant Greg Atlas, Engine 10. Firefighter Gerard Atwood, Ladder Company 21. Firefighter Gerard Baptiste, Ladder Company 9. Assistant Chief Gerard Barbera, Citywide Tour Commander. Firefighter Matthew Barnes, Ladder 25. Firefighter Arthur Barry, Ladder 15. Lieutenant Stephen Bates, Engine Company 235. Firefighter Carl Bedigan, Engine Company 214. Firefighter Stephen Belson, Ladder Company 24. Firefighter John Bergen, Rescue Company 5. Firefighter Paul Byer, Engine Company 6. Firefighter Peter Bielfield, Ladder Company 42. Firefighter Brian Bilcher, Engine 33. Firefighter Carl Binney, Rescue 5. Firefighter Christopher Blackwell, Rescue 3. Firefighter Michael Bocchino, Battalion 48. Firefighter Frank Bonamo, Engine Company 230. Firefighter Gary Box, Squad Company 1.
Firefighter Michael Boyle, Engine 33. Firefighter Kevin Bracken, Engine 40. Firefighter Michael Brennan, Ladder Company 4. Firefighter Peter Brennan, Squad 288. Captain Daniel Brethel, Ladder 24. Captain Patrick Brown, Ladder 3. Firefighter Andrew Brunn, Ladder 5. Captain Vincent Brunton, Ladder 105. Fire Marshal Ronald Buca, Bureau of Fire Investigation, Manhattan Base. Firefighter Greg Buck, Engine 201. Captain William Burke Jr., Engine 21. Assistant Chief Donald Burns, Citywide Tour Commander. Firefighter John Burnside, Ladder 20. Firefighter Thomas Butler, Squad 1. Firefighter Patrick Byrne, Ladder 101. Firefighter George Kane, Ladder 7. Firefighter Salvatore Calabro, Ladder 101. Captain Frank Callahan, Ladder 35. Firefighter Michael Camarada, Ladder 11. Firefighter Brian Canizaro, Ladder 101. Firefighter Dennis Carey, Hazmat 1. Firefighter Michael Carlo, Engine 230. Firefighter Michael Carroll, Ladder 3. Firefighter Peter Carroll, Squad 1. Firefighter Thomas Casoria, Engine 22. Firefighter Michael Coley, Ladder 136. Firefighter Vernon Cherry, Ladder 118. Firefighter Nicholas Chiafalo, Engine 235. Firefighter John Chapura, Engine 219. Firefighter Michael Clark, Ladder 2.
Battalion Chief Thomas DeAngelis I, Battalion 8. Firefighter Manuel Del Valle, Engine 5. Firefighter Martin DeMeo. Firefighter Martin.
Battalion 9. Firefighter Gerard Dewin, Ladder 3. Lieutenant Kevin Donnelly, Ladder 3. Firefighter George DePasquale, Ladder 2. Lieutenant Kevin Dowd, Rescue 4. Battalion Chief Raymond Downey, Special Operations Command. Firefighter Gerard Duffy, Ladder 21. Captain Martin Egan Jr., Ladder 118. Firefighter Michael Alferez, Engine 22. Firefighter Francis Esposito, Engine 235.
Squad Company 1. Firefighter Robert Evans, Engine Company 33. Battalion Chief John Fanning II, Hazmat Operations. My friend Captain Thomas Farino, promoted to Battalion Chief, Engine 26. Firefighter Terrence Farrell, Rescue Company 4. Captain Joseph Farrelly, Engine Company 4. First Deputy Commissioner, previous Fire Commissioner, previous Chief of Department, William Feehan, from FDNY Headquarters. Firefighter Lee Feeling, Engine Company 235. Firefighter Alan Feinberg, Battalion 9. Firefighter Michael Fiore, Rescue Company 5. Captain John Fisher, Ladder Company 20. Firefighter Andre Fletcher, Rescue Company 5. Firefighter John Florio, Engine Company 214. Lieutenant Michael Fodor, Ladder 21. Firefighter Thomas Foley, Rescue 3. Firefighter David Fontana, Squad Company 1. Firefighter Robert Fody, Ladder 7. Firefighter Andrew Fredericks, Squad Company 18. Lieutenant Peter Frond, Engine 55. Firefighter Thomas Gambino, Rescue Company 3. Chief of Department Peter Gansey Jr. from FDNY Headquarters. Lieutenant Charles Garbarini, Ladder 61. Firefighter Thomas Gardner, Hazmat 1. Firefighter Matthew Garvey, Squad 1. Firefighter Bruce Gary, Engine Company 40. Firefighter Gary Guidell, Rescue Company 1. Battalion Chief Edward Garrity, Battalion 9. Firefighter Dennis Germain, Ladder Company 2. Lieutenant Vincent Giamona, Ladder Company 5. Firefighter James Giberson, Ladder Company 35.
Lieutenant Ronnie Geis, Squad 288. Firefighter Paul Gill, Engine 54. Lieutenant John Ginley, Engine 40. Firefighter John Giordano, Engine 37. Firefighter Jeffrey Giordano, Ladder 3. Firefighter Keith Glasgow, ladder 21. Firefighter James Gray, ladder 20. Battalion Chief Joseph Grislak, Battalion 48. Firefighter Jose Guadalupe, engine 54. Lieutenant Joffrey Guja, engine 82. Lieutenant Joseph Gullickson, ladder 101. Firefighter David Halderman, squad 18. Lieutenant Vincent Halloran, ladder 8. Firefighter Robert Hamilton, squad 41. Firefighter Sean Hanley, ladder 20. Firefighter Thomas Hannafin, ladder 5. Firefighter Dana Hannon, engine 26. Firefighter Daniel Harlan, ladder 2. Lieutenant Stephen Harrell, ladder 157. Lieutenant Harvey Harrell, Rescue Company 5. Firefighter Timothy Haskell, squad 18. Battalion Chief Thomas Haskell Jr., ladder 132. Captain Terrence Hatton, Rescue 1. Firefighter Michael Haub, ladder 4. Lieutenant Michael Healy, squad 41. Firefighter John Heffernan, ladder 11. Firefighter Ronnie Henderson, engine 279. Firefighter Joseph Henry, ladder 21. Firefighter William Henry, Rescue Company 1. Firefighter Thomas Hetzel, ladder 13.
Captain Brian Hickey, Rescue 4. Lieutenant Timothy Higgins, Squad 252. Firefighter Jonathan Homan, Hazmat 1. Firefighter Thomas Holohan, Engine 6. Firefighter Joseph Hunter, Squad 288. Captain Walter Hines, ladder 13. Firefighter Jonathan Lepke, Squad 288. Captain Frederick Ill Jr., ladder 2. Firefighter William Johnson, engine 6. Firefighter Andrew Jordan, ladder 132. Firefighter Carl Joseph, engine 207. Lieutenant Anthony Jovic, ladder 34. Firefighter Angel Warbe Jr., ladder 12. Father Michael Judge, Fire Department, New York, chaplain. Firefighter Vincent Kane, engine 22. Deputy Chief Charles Casper, Special Operations Command. Firefighter Paul Keating, ladder 5. Firefighter Thomas Kelly, ladder 15. Firefighter Thomas Kelly, ladder 105. Firefighter Richard Kelly Jr., ladder 11. Firefighter Thomas Kennedy, ladder 101. Lieutenant Ronald Kerwin, squad 288. Firefighter Michael Kiefer, ladder 132. Firefighter Robert King Jr., engine 33. Firefighter Scott Koptko, ladder 15. Firefighter William Krukowski, ladder 21. Firefighter Kenneth Kumpel, ladder 25. Firefighter Thomas Kuvakis, squad 252. Firefighter David LaForge, ladder 20. Firefighter William Lake, rescue 2.
Lane, engine 55. Firefighter Peter Langone, squad 252. Firefighter Scott Larson, ladder 15. Lieutenant Joseph Levy, ladder 15. Firefighter Neil Levy, engine 217. Firefighter Daniel Libretti, Rescue Company 2. Paramedic Carlos Lilo, Battalion 49. Firefighter Robert Linane, ladder 20. Firefighter Michael Lynch, engine 40. Firefighter Michael Lynch, ladder 4. Firefighter Michael Lyons, squad 41. Firefighter Patrick Lyons, squad 252. Firefighter Joseph Maffeo, ladder 101. Firefighter William Mahoney, rescue 4. Firefighter Joseph Maloney, ladder 3. Deputy Chief Joseph Marchbanks, battalion 12. Lieutenant Charles Maggiata, ladder 85. Firefighter Kenneth Marino, rescue 1. Firefighter John Marshall, engine 23. Lieutenant Peter Martin, rescue company 2. Lieutenant Paul Martini, engine 201. Firefighter Joseph Mascali, rescue 5. Firefighter Keith Roy Maynard, engine 33. Firefighter Brian McAleese, engine 226. Firefighter John McAvoy, ladder 3. Firefighter Thomas McCann, engine 65. Lieutenant William McGinn, squad 18. Battalion Chief William McGovern, battalion 2. Firefighter Dennis McHugh, ladder 13. Firefighter Robert McMahon, ladder 20. Firefighter Robert McPadden, engine 23.
Firefighter Terrence McShane, ladder 101. Firefighter Timothy McSweeney, ladder 3. Firefighter Martin McWilliams, engine 22. Firefighter Raymond Meisenheimer, rescue 3. Firefighter Charles Mendez, ladder 7. Firefighter Steve Mercado, engine 40. Firefighter Douglas Miller, rescue 5. Firefighter Henry Miller Jr., ladder 105. Firefighter Robert Minera, ladder 25. Firefighter Thomas Mignon, ladder 132. Lieutenant Paul Mitchell, ladder 110. Captain Louis Mataferri, rescue 5. Lieutenant Dennis Mojica, rescue 1. Firefighter Manuel Mojica, squad 18. Firefighter Carl Molinaro, ladder 2. Firefighter Michael Montesi, rescue 1. Captain Thomas Moody, engine 310. Battalion Chief John Moran, Special Operations Command. Firefighter Vincent Morello, ladder company 35. Firefighter Christopher Monzillo, engine 55. Firefighter Richard Muldowney Jr., ladder 7. Firefighter Michael Milan, ladder 12. Firefighter Dennis Mulligan, ladder 2. Lieutenant Raymond Murphy, ladder 16. Lieutenant Robert Nagel, engine 58. Firefighter John Napolitano, rescue 2. Firefighter Peter Nelson, rescue 4. Firefighter Gerard Nevins, rescue company 1.
Firefighter Dennis Oberg, ladder 105. Lieutenant Daniel O'Callahan, ladder 4. Firefighter Douglas O'Schlager, ladder 15. Firefighter Joseph Ogren, ladder 3. Lieutenant Thomas O'Hagan, engine 52. Firefighter Samuel Otis, ladder 4. Captain William O'Keefe, engine 154. Firefighter Patrick O'Keefe, rescue 1. Firefighter Jeffrey Olson, engine 10. Firefighter Eric Olson, ladder 15. Firefighter Stephen Olson, ladder 3. Firefighter Kevin O'Rourke, Rescue 2. Firefighter Michael Otten, Ladder 3-5. Firefighter Jeffrey Palazzo, Rescue 5. Battalion Chief Oriole Palmer, Battalion 7. Firefighter Frank Palumbo, Ladder 105. Firefighter Paul Pancini, Engine 10. Battalion Chief John Paolillo, Special Operations Command. Firefighter James Papa George, Engine 2-3. Firefighter Robert Perro, Engine 8. Firefighter Darrell Purcell, Rescue 4. Lieutenant Glenn Perry, Ladder 3-4. Lieutenant Philip Petty, Ladder 148. Lieutenant Kevin Pfeiffer, Engine 3-3. Lieutenant Kenneth Phelan, Engine 217. Firefighter Christopher Pickford, Engine 201. Firefighter Sean Powell, Engine 207. Firefighter Vincent Princiata, Ladder 7. Firefighter Kevin Pryor, Squad 252.
Battalion Chief Richard Prunty, Battalion 2. Firefighter Lincoln Quape, Rescue 2. Lieutenant Michael Quilty, Ladder 11. Lieutenant Ricardo Quinn, Battalion 5-7. Firefighter Leonard Regaglia, Engine 54. Firefighter Michael Ragusa, Engine 279. Firefighter Edward Rawle, Rescue 2. Firefighter Adam Rand, Squad 288. Lieutenant Robert Regan, Ladder 118. Firefighter Donald Regan, Rescue Company 3. Firefighter Christian Regenhard, Ladder 131. Firefighter Kevin Riley, Engine 207. Captain Vernon Richard, Ladder Company 7. Firefighter James Richies, Engine 4. Firefighter Joseph Ravelli Jr., Ladder 25. Firefighter Michael Roberts, Engine 214. Firefighter Michael Roberts, Ladder 35. Firefighter Anthony Rodriguez, Engine 279. Firefighter Matthew Rogan, Ladder 11. Firefighter Nicholas Rosamondo, Rescue 5. Firefighter Paul Ruback, Ladder 25. Firefighter Stephen Russell, Engine 55. Lieutenant Michael Russo, Squad Company 1. Battalion Chief Matthew Ryan, Battalion 4. Firefighter Thomas Sabella, Ladder 13. Firefighter Christopher Santora, Engine 54. Firefighter John Santori, Ladder 5. Firefighter Gregory Saucedo, Ladder 5. Firefighter Dennis Scalzo, Hazmat Company 1. Firefighter John Sharp, Engine Company 201.
Battalion Chief Fred Sheffield, Battalion 12. Firefighter Thomas Scholes, Engine 4. Firefighter Gerard Schrang, Rescue Company 3. Firefighter Gregory Sikorsky, Squad 41. Firefighter Stephen Siller, Squad 1. Firefighter Stanley Smigala, Jr., Engine 226. Firefighter Kevin Smith, Hazmat 1. Firefighter Leon Smith, Jr., Ladder 118. Firefighter Robert Spear, Engine 26. Firefighter Joseph Spoor, Rescue 3. Battalion Chief Lawrence Stack, Safety Battalion 1. Captain Timothy Stackpole, Ladder 103. Firefighter Gregory Stake, Ladder 13. Firefighter Jeffrey Stark, Engine 230. Firefighter Benjamin Suarez, Ladder 21. Firefighter Daniel Schur, Engine 216. Lieutenant Christopher Sullivan, Ladder 111. Firefighter Brian Sweeney, Squad 288. Firefighter Sean Talon, Ladder 10. Firefighter Alan Trasuitz, Rescue 5. Firefighter Paul Tegmeyer, Engine 4. Firefighter John Tierney, Ladder 9. Firefighter John Tipping, Ladder 4. Firefighter Hector Torado Jr., Engine 2-3. Firefighter Richard Van Hine, Squad 41. Firefighter Peter Vega, Ladder 118. Firefighter Lawrence Veiling, Engine 235. Firefighter John Vigiano, Ladder 132. Firefighter Sergio Villanueva, Ladder 132. Firefighter Lawrence Virgilio, Squad 18.
Lieutenant Robert Wallace, Engine 205. Firefighter Jeffrey Waltz, Ladder 9. Lieutenant Michael Warcola, Ladder 5. Captain Patrick Waters II, Hazmat 1. Firefighter Kenneth Watson, Engine 214. Firefighter Michael Weinberg, Engine 1. Firefighter David Weiss, Rescue 1. Firefighter Timothy Welty, Squad 288. Firefighter Eugene Whalen, Engine 230. Firefighter Edward White, Engine 230. Firefighter Mark Whitford, Engine 23. Lieutenant Glenn Wilkinson, Engine 238. Battalion Chief John Williamson, Battalion 6. Captain David Woolley, Ladder 4. Firefighter Raymond York, Engine 285.
We also will take this opportunity to remember two friends from FDNY of the New Zealand Fire Department who passed away this past year. The first being Rita Hayden, who's been here twice, with her husband Pete Hayden, who was our chief of department, and they had the time of their life here. Pete Hayden has said he is so happy his wife got to come here and experience New Zealand. The second is my dear friend Stephen Barubi, captain of Ladder Company 111, also an FDNY incident management team, incident commander, and public information officer, who lost his life a few months ago to pancreatic cancer as a result of exposure to toxins at the World Trade Center. And as of today, we have lost 371 FDNY responders to that poison. May they rest in peace.
So as the basket's lowered and we have our leave the basket, it's been interesting to watch the firefighters through this memorial, that on the faces of the firefighters is a lot of reflection happening and thinking about the names. The time that it takes to read the names is a part of it, because it along the magnitude of what happened in New York on September the 11th. And the firefighters here are taking the opportunity. There's plenty of connection between the firefighters in the group here today with the 69 New Zealand firefighters and also the 343 firefighters. We've got people that have got personal relationships with family members, and a lot of people are reflecting on their impact today and how important it is. We also heard the representatives from New York talking about Steve Barubi, and Steve Barubi was one of the representatives 2 years ago, and it's important that we recognise that post the incident that there are many firefighters that have illnesses as a result of that, and it's great to see that the personal connection, the representatives we have today and people that have been over to New Zealand in the past. So shortly we will have Bishop Rosh Bay enter the basket, and he will have the opportunity to do a prayer for the firefighters, the 69 New Zealand and the 343 from, and also for the community of firefighters that are here today.
Kia koutou katoa, kei konei tēnei rā. E nei ingoa, e nei kupu e ki nei, e nei tangata. Ka kawea mātou I tō rātou mana I runga I o mātou a poko whiwi I te wā, ka kake mātou I te paurewa nei.
As we conclude our memorial time and prepare to climb, may I offer these prayers. We remember together all who have gone before us and given their lives in the service of others. Recalling today those whose lives were lost in the events of 9/11, and in this moment honouring the 343 firefighters whose lives were lost at the Twin Towers. Bring thankful memory of those who have lost their lives on duty from the Fire Brigades of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Help us always to keep their memory dear, to allow their example of service and to encourage and inspire us, that when we are called to act, we may do the right thing for the good of others. Kia tau kia tātou katoa, te atawhai o tō tātou ariki a ihu karaiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhina tahitanga ki te wairua tapu, ake, 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 amine. Kia ora tātou.
Members of the city station and surrounding crews. The haka is performed to show as a mark of respect for all of our fallen firefighters and all of the participants in our memorial today. So it is a perfect way of showing respect to the community that's here and to the fellow firefighters that they represent. So as we move forward, the official part of the event and the speeches has been concluded. And we mentioned early on that a way to represent all of the firefighters that we're here for today is to keep their names spoken and keep their names alive. So what happens with the firefighters now is that they will climb the tower and they will take a tally that is representative of an individual firefighter. The tally is a mechanism that's used in lots of fire services to record people that have been into a structure or onto a fire ground in some way and record that they have come back safely. So in practical sense, the tally will stay at the truck when the firefighters are doing their work. So it's a really good connection to what we're doing today, where those tallies will be carried aloft by firefighters. And inside the tower, every floor there are photos of the firefighters, and some of them will be looking to connect the name that they're carrying with an image of the firefighter that they reflect. Our New York representatives will be handing out the tallies, and they will have personal stories about those firefighters that they'll pass on to the firefighters carrying them. So it's a very good way to connect what happens today with the people that we represent.
They put their life before somebody else's life. And that is the most noble thing anyone could ever do.
Deputy Chief Edward Girardi, Battalion 9.
Captain David Woolley, Ladder 4.
Captain Daniel O'Callaghan, Ladder 4.
Firefighter Jose Guadalupe, Engine 54.
Firefighter Leonard Regaglia, Engine 54.
Firefighter Christopher Santora, Engine 54.
Firefighter Paul Gill, Engine 54.
Firefighter Alan Feenberg, Battalion 9. Firefighter Carl Asaro, Battalion 9. Firefighter Joseph Angelini Jr., Ladder 4.
Firefighter Samuel Otis, Ladder 4.
Firefighter Michael Haub, Ladder 4.
Firefighter John Tipping II, Ladder 4.
Lieutenant Michael Lynch, Ladder 4.
Firefighter Michael Brennan, Ladder 4.
They were going inside to try to save people. And that's why I say their names all the time. Because their children, their grandchildren, their neighbors, and people that have never heard of September 11th need to know what they did that day. And it's a remarkable thing. It really is.
Firefighter Christopher Santora.
Daniel O'Callaghan,
Joseph Angelini Jr.,
Paul Gill,
Samuel Otis,
Michael Howe,
Alan Feenberg,
Leonard Regaglia,
Carl Asaro,
Jose Guadalupe,
Michael Brennan,
John Tipping II,
David
Woolley,
Edward Girardi.
Michael Lynch.
Names, what they're thinking about, that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
So what will happen is the firefighters will hang around here. So once they've all gone up the tower, we lose a lot of opportunity to do that. So we've got sort of a window of probably 30 minutes to an hour to try and grab people. So I'll
Just give us a little voiceover about what.
Supposedly.
You're in.
So what we have after the formal part of the memorial is that we've got the firefighters waiting to collect the tallies. This is probably one of the most important parts of what we achieved today, is making sure that we actually make the memory of those firefighters something real. So I've just been talking to some of the firefighters, and some of them are new. It's the first time that they've attended. They've really got an emotional connection with wanting to be here to support the event, make sure that we honour the firefighters that we're here for. So we'll get into that with the New York Chiefs, and they'll hand out the tallies and pass on some stories about some of the individuals that they know personally.
Another one already. He's got one already.
The guy we
Yep. Okay. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You gotta have a little Scottish Irish in you, right?
Yep. Thank you so much.
I have a Scots Irish dad and an Irish mom, so that's kind of the way it is in New York.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A mixed marriage in New York is an Italian marrying an Irish. See, the Irish guy marries the Italian girl. know how to cook because the Italian girls can't cook. So when the Italian guy marries the Irish girl, it's trouble. Keep up that grin. Hmm? You did a good job, though. You did a good job.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks again, bro.
Thank you, Theo. Oh. All right.
Thank you.
We'll be in a bar somewhere around here tonight. I'll look for you guys.
Joe Angelini Sr., good man, Senior Man Rescue 1. Awesome guy. Rescue 2, awesome bunch. Thanks, brother.
Save that one for someone special.
Yes,
You wanna
she's
say
coming
that?
up.
Yeah, you want to say it on?
So, yeah. Thank you so much. Very, very special. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now we're down to that last number. Has 40 gone? No, number 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well done, man. That was right up there. Really well done.
Thank you.
Get on one get on one bottle? Yeah. I'm gonna give it a go.
You guys are awesome to do that. Good stuff.
You've been stitched up there. Stitched up big time. Someone's only half filmed me.
Max, you happy with that gap? I'm counting. Happy with the gap?
Who's got one ready?
Two.
Thank you, brother.
You going with him?
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
See you too. Thank you.
It's Mike Brennan from my firehouse.
Oh, awesome.
He's a character and a half. If you have any laughs, you have them with Mike Brennan because he's the funniest person I've ever met.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Rescue
there's
Company
plenty
1,
of
that's my
connection that you
neighboring
find
company.
when you walk around and talk to
Thank you,
people.
brother.
And I have a gentleman with me, Ringo, who's got a reasonable level of service
Chief of my
with Fire and
battalion,
Emergency
Ed
New
Garrity.
Zealand. So tell me a little bit about what's your history as a firefighter and how do you find yourself here today?
Well, I've been in the job now up to coming up to 55 years. So it's sort of on the downhill slope now a wee bit, but we'll see how that goes. But the remembrance that, for today is significant back to 2001 when the towers went down. I remember that morning getting up and watching on the news and just sitting there. I couldn't actually believe what was happening. And I always look back on it now that I classify this as our Anzac Day. Up until then, we didn't have any memorial days for firefighters, and this has sort of brought it home, I think, around the world as well. And you see firefighters getting lost in their jobs now, and we have some place where we can remember them now. Yeah.
Yeah, look, we've got a lot of volunteers here, a lot of career staff like yourself, and it sort of cuts across both of those parts of our organisation as an opportunity to celebrate our firefighters. On September the 11th, you would have been a firefighter on that. It's a little earlier than when I started. But what did that day look like for you, and how did it affect the people that were around you on that day?
Well, I think it sort of really brought home to the danger of high-rise fires. Up until then, we had sort of procedures in place, and of course the New York guys had procedures in place, and that was their job to go and enter that building and get up there and help people down. But in hindsight, it was probably a real bad day out with those towers coming down. But that's what we do, and it sort of brought home to our management as well that we've got to update our procedures for that sort of same situation happening. I'm not saying that planes going into it, but that sort of high-rise fires is a totally different concept to what we normally do. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's not lost on a lot of us that the procedures and the processes that we follow as firefighters are often built off tragedy. And so the September 11th event was a real reminder of how significant an event can be, and it will have changed the face of firefighting globally. One of the things that we have been given by the event is a date. You mentioned before that date has become a little bit synonymous with celebrating our firefighters. And when we were reading through the names of the New Zealand firefighters, is there any there that you connected with that you remember that story?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys. One of the boys died in a training environment, and another one died on duty at a motor vehicle accident when a truck slammed and the crew that day had to actually go in and get this guy out of the car that just killed one of our firefighters. And also Steve Askin, helicopter pilot in the South Island, another firefighter, died in a tragic situation. Yeah. So
with there's an inherent risk with what we do, and we accept that risk because we're here to serve our communities and be there when they need us. That environment that we work in, what sort of support networks around yourself and the firefighters do you believe are important for both the families of firefighters and also for the firefighters?
Well, especially this day and age, things have really sort of smartened up in that respect. In the early days, we just sort of grin and bear it, and that's the way it was, and for some of us, we handle it that way. But in this day and age now, with more support being available, and it's brought home to a lot of us guys that if you really do need support, you've got to get out there and go and ask for it,
Yeah, I think there's been a little bit of a softening over the years of that if something isn't going quite right for you to reach out, have a chat to your fellow firefighters and make sure that people know that you need some support. So today we've got a little over 300 firefighters that are climbing, and they're all taking a tally with them to represent the people that their names were read out today. 69 New Zealand firefighters, 343 New York firefighters. And I think it's a fantastic event. If you had to encourage someone to come along to the event and be part of it, what do you think is the special part of today that they may not quite realise unless they came along?
Well, it's part of our. It's going to be part of our history now, and this is what we're going to make sure we keep. We've got to keep our standards up and our history going, so that firefighters coming after us realise that some of the firefighters who have lost their lives in the line of their job is to be remembered, and that's the most important thing about it. And without this, we can't do that. Otherwise, it just gets pushed to one side and nobody sort of cares. But we can make ourselves care, and we can make our fellow firefighters care. Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes bringing that stuff forward can be difficult, and I'm very grateful that there's a day like this today where I get to talk to people like yourself and make something special out of the day and make sure that we bring those names back off a list and make them real and do something in their memory. So I really appreciate you coming along. Thank you what you've done for everyone in the fire service. We were talking before about how there's a fair few people here who know you, and I'm sure they've got fond memories of the training that you've provided them and the advice as well. So thanks very much for being along today.
No, good, thanks, my pleasure. Cut.
This one out too. And give this one out too.
These are mine, too. Sammy Otis, one of the toughest guys I've ever known. He was in my firehouse. So, thank you.
The airport? Absolutely.
How are you?
My old company.
Mike Halb is one of our newest guys in my firehouse on September 11th.
Have a good climb.
Awesome guy. Thank you, brother. John Tipping, ladder 4, my house. Thanks, brother.
Scotty, 7 minutes again, or we just want to get
you good?
For this person.
Okay.
Slowing them down.
Go and chat about the guys. And you know any of these guys? You can tell them a story about them?
Kevin Bracken from Engine 40. This was in my battalion. So it's very special and appreciate. Thank you. Coming up.
To the 93 World Trade Center with this company. Ryan McAleese, new guy when I left.
Want to go up and just get the towel in this way?
Probably
Maybe
7 years later.
93
did. Sister company.
Ladder 21 is our neighboring company from my firehouse. It's an awesome bunch of guys.
This is Stanley.
Appreciate y'all walking up with them.
The story's almost the same. Thank you, sir. His brother was actually driving one of the Chiefs. He got hurt. Stanley,
Engine 1, Madison Square Garden. Good bunch of guys. The busiest engine company in the FDNY. That's it.
Serena from Ladder 5, downtown. House had a lot of hardship. Their officer that night was on his last night, retiring the next day. They had a special dinner for
How are you?
retirement.
Squad 18 in Manhattan. One of the premier units in Manhattan. Honored that you carry that. Lawrence Virgilio, he was well known. Thank you.
Believe it or not, that day he was out.
How are you? How are you?
Working campaigning for the
Hobby King Jr., Ladder 11, Manhattan. Thank you.
Hey, oh, don't, somebody doesn't carry them all, right? You gotta break them up.
Maybe not, yeah.
Squad 288 is from Queens, where I was, a special operations company. And they were in quarters with Hazmat 1. They had probably the biggest loss in one firehouse of all. It's, a bunch of them were having medicals. They ran across and they all got killed. Have a good climb. A lot cuter.
She's already got.
You already got one?
Larry Virgilio.
Tell him to make your way.
You got one too? Have a good climb. Have a nice climb. I know you got one.
Thank you, brother.
Good? Thanks, guys. Have a good climb. Going? Think you can catch him? No, I can't.
Michael Alferis, he was in my probationary fire school class. Awesome guy, writer, poet. Awesome man. Thank you so much. Engine 33, Lower Manhattan, Chinatown. Very, very busy place. Good people. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good to me. Have a wonderful climb.
I'm a Cicito, Ladder 5, Greenwich Village, Manhattan.
Good? You're good? Yep. Squad 41. And that one yet, right? No, I can put it on here. How about we put it on up here? This is the squad that was in, covered the Bronx and Harlem. A lot of people thought it was the best one to work at. Special operations. They lost everybody. Hello.
Ladder 20, Manhattan. Thank you so much. Great people. Thanks so much. Scott Capicco from Ladder 15, Manhattan. He was in my probationary fire academy class. Thank you for carrying him. John Agnew, Woodville. Thank you so much.
Rescue 5, just went West Borough.
Engine 8, that's my compatriots to the east side of Manhattan. They're our same distance from us. Thank you.
At the firehouse. Have a good climb. Thank you. You're about 60 years old?
It's Chris.
Shit, that's no problem. Rescue 4 with the rescue company.
Thank you. Rescue 2. Can't be any more solid than those guys. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor.
It's Joe Angelini Jr. Him and his father both perished on September 11th. His father was in Rescue 1. He was in my company, Ladder 4. Couldn't have him more knowledgeable. Nice guy. All around great firefighter. It's been an honor to put him on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Which ones should I? Whatever you want me to do. Okay. All right. .201, Heart of Brooklyn. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
First name I read, Peter Agnello from Ladder 118. And it was a famous picture in the newspaper of the ladder going over the big bridge. One of the other guys in this company, you ever see Saturday Night Live?
Rescue 2, Brooklyn. The busiest, some of the best. Thank you so much.
His father was in this company and lost his life. This is not him.
Engine 216, the Heart of Brooklyn.
Yep, that's the famous
Thank you for honoring their memory.
They think I have a bunch of them. Yeah, that was on the cover of the Daily News.
After got these guys got their tellies, they'll go and then they'll do another pause.
Well, Engine 74, The Lost World, Upper West Side,
Who gets the
78th,
biggest feet here?
7th Street. A great bunch. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for coming.
All right. All these going, right? All these here going? Engine 230, Brooklyn. It's a great bunch. It's an honor to have you take them up. Appreciate your work. Thanks, brother. All right.
Just a smile on his face all the time.
Engine 219, Brooklyn. Right in the heart of the FDNY. Thank you so much. Engine 217, Brooklyn. It's a very hardy bunch. Thank you.
Oh no, he put his head on it. He put his head on
Ladder 16, Manhattan. One of our neighboring companies. Thanks.
So you got him. What's that line? You know, the actor Peter Davidson.
Ladder 35, this is my battalion. We're in charge of these guys. They're our neighboring company. They were an awesome bunch. Upper West Side, 66th in Amsterdam. Thank you for taking them up.
I think the kid is making the dad proud. Myself.
Ladder 105, one of the toughest truck companies in all of Brooklyn. Thanks, brother.
Hello.
Ladder 9, downtown Manhattan, Chinatown. Great bunch, lots of fire duty. Thank you. Ladder 25 is on the Upper West Side. They're a neighboring company of mine in Manhattan. A great, great bunch.
You're old enough.
Engine 238 Queens, Corona Tigers. Can't get a better engine
climb.
company in all the Queens than these guys.
Joseph Agnello from 118. That's the first name I read.
Ladder
Your name
132.
is Joseph Agnello?
Awesome.
Joe,
Thanks so
okay.
much.
That would really be spooky. Same one. We're showing the picture.
Ladder
Why put it
42,
away?
the Bronx. Tough guys. Those guys
That
are
was,
the best.
I get to do that.
Thank you. Ladder 136.
That's them going over the
Great guys.
bridge.
Thank you. How are you? Ladder 7 across from us in
you.
Manhattan. Thanks, brother.
You
Appreciate
get to wear
it. Thank you
Vernon?
for keeping their memories out. All right. Take care.
Get to wear Vernon Cherry. Last guy I have from ladder 118. Here we go. That's the last picture we have of them on their way in.
Get this, Donald Burns.
He was also a court reporter. That was his side job. Yeah, but he was lucky enough to work in the courts. We're right down the block from the firehouse. You say this is your dad? Is that what you said?
Queensland, Australia is coming over.
You're from Australia? This is probably pretty appropriate. This was one of our three-star chiefs, Donald Burns. Everybody said, wasn't the most loved guy, but everyone said that's who we needed after. This is the guy that would have reorganized us after. I liked him. Can you beat him? I can do better than that for an Aussie, can I?
Engine 235.
Sir.
Thank you. Engine 205. Thank you so much. Honoring.
Didn't give you any
Ladder
words
1,
of encouragement.
101. Part of Brooklyn there.
It's Engine Company 207 from downtown Brooklyn.
Ladder 2, it's
I worked
my
in this
neighboring ladder
battalion. My
company
friend,
in Manhattan.
the
They're our
battalion
counterparts
chief
on the
there
west
then.
side.
He
Thank you,
still
brother.
was till last year. He retired. He got forced out on his 65th birthday. Yes, worked 43 years, 11 months, and a week, which might be the most we ever had. So we can't go in the academy till you're 21. On your 65th birthday, you're retired. Have a good climb.
We're going to give these guys the tellies and then make them wait. Come on, guys, hear a story if you can.
We've gotten to all.
This is my crew.
Okay.
How are you?
In my neighborhood.
You from Queensland too?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well,
Where?
you guys have the
Oh,
honor of taking
same color
all
helmet as the
fellow New Zealanders
or did we give you
that
the
you've
helmet?
lost.
Is that your helmet
It's
from
an
home?
honor. Never forget
Okay.
the memories.
The Aussies had the same color helmet.
Ever.
Okay. It's
Ever.
Engine Company 279 from Red Hook. The truck survived, but the engine didn't. I worked there many a time. They're ball breakers mostly.
I said you have the honor of taking up your
Hazmat
fellow
Company 1,
firefighters from
the
New
one and
Zealand
only
that you lost.
Hazmat.
It's the
They
honor
lost.
of honors. Thank you
We
for
have
everybody
medicals
for coming out today.
and
Really
they closed
means
the
a lot.
company. You have to go in, but they have to be replaced. So unfortunately, the guys that were on replacement got killed, and the guys at medicals ran over the bridge, and all of them got killed too, except for two. Two survived, and the other company in quarters lost everybody also.
Thank you.
Hmm?
Thank you for coming over.
Oh, it's been a good time.
Have you come most years?
No, they did the opportunity to come once. We can come again as long as we pay our own way and all that. I'm sure that would work. A little bit. I went to the South Island first. Pretty good. Oh, more than enjoyed it. Milford Sound was sunny like this. Beautiful. I don't know about
all
this.
all the New Zealand guys.
Hmm?
We're on to all the New Zealand firefighters. So.
Okay. So you're representing all the borough commands, which is funny because. Oh, you got one already? What do you got? That's cooler than this one anyway. In fact, we should do these last. We should do these last. That's kind of. You don't want that one. There weren't even borough commands in.
So these are guys coming out already.
You're done already, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So who needs one? This is one of your guys, Murray Charles Boyd. You could tell me stories about these guys. You good?
Good.
Aunt Judd from Foxton Beach. Should be an honor.
Good. Who needs over here?
Noel
John
Matheson
Fordyce from Wellington.
Auckland, from here.
Honoring your country's own is
1963. Were you born yet? No. I was. I'd been around for 6 years. I was already in first grade then. I never thought I'd get this old. If you got one, you can go. You have one? Got one? And you got one.
Good.
Have a good climb.
You guys can, after you've got a telly and you've heard us, no, these are Kiwis now, you might not know too many about them, but after you get a telly, you can leave.
It's an honor.
Alexander
for you
Hurd,
guys to
1931
carry your
from
firefighters
where is
that
that?
lost. It's an honor for me to give it to you.
Wanganui.
Roland Booth from
I get
Auckland.
to do it. You want it on that? Thank you. Have a good climb.
Walter Haven Malloy
Jeff
from
Pilbrow
Bluff.
from Duntroon, 2006.
Jim Winton from
Should be
Wellington.
an honor for you to wear that. Thank you.
Benjamin Payne. William McCrae.
Robert Cox from Tawa,
James Lawrence from
died in
Wellington.
1963. You weren't born
The
yet either
honoring
way.
that you're carrying your fellow
Have a good
countrymen
climb.
that went ahead of you. Douglas Williamson from Feldman. It's an
John
honor.
Guilford from Wellington. Do you know what year he passed in line of duty? 1872. That's kind of.
John
His ghost is
Reesnick
going to
from
be walking
Kamay.
up there with you.
Honor.
Enjoy it. Feel him.
William
Riley
Godwin
Webb,
from
2005
Auckland.
from.
Don't forget, it's an honor to honor your countrymen.
How does that? Yeah, the tongue.
For you.
I'd have to be here
It's
for
not
6
my
months.
honor to present this to you.
Let's see. You don't have a good one. No, I don't. What we go with
Barry
this? Will
Keane
that work
from
for you?
Willoughby.
Have a good climb.
Eric Bright from Auckland.
David Neal Ashton, 2002 from
Jim Mears,
Tyro.
honoring
I get to put it on.
your fellow firefighters from New Zealand.
This
It's
is
an honor for me to
an
put
honor
that
for
on
me
you.
to do that. Have a nice climb.
William Griffin from Gisborne.
You have
Thank you. Jules LaSalle
George Prince
from Devonport.
from Hamilton. Guess
you.
what year he passed in the line of duty?
It's been an honor to be here to present you and have you
Before I
walk
was
for
born.
your guys.
Not by
Thank
mine.
you.
1921.
Paul
103
Gable from
years ago.
Musville.
Have a nice climb.
Honor the memory of your guys. Thank you.
I'm going to say Irvin Heppenstall
Thomas McCambridge from Invercargill.
from Cambridge, 1964.
It's an honor that you're carrying
nice
your
climb.
fellow country firefighters.
I get to put it on. That's
Ernest
what I'm here
Herring
for.
from Auckland.
Thank you. Hope everything's all right.
Scott, very nice to meet you. Take care.
I do sports. I've had a lot of MRIs. Kia ora. Matthew Morton from, you have to pronounce that for me? Say again? Yeah.
Got Captain Patty Brown.
1968. Yes.
Greg Atlas. I knew all these
Not mine.
guys. Captain Patty Brown
I was 11 years old.
Did a couple of very famous roof
Have a nice
rope
climb.
rescues right in Manhattan. And
William Abbott
just
from Christchurch,
awesome.
probably a little
well, this
before
is
your
your
time.
fellow countryman Jack Morris from Cambridge.
124 years
So
ago, he
honoring
passed
your
in the
own
line of duty.
countries is an honor for me to put
His
that on.
spirit will be following you. Thank you. Maury? What? Are you fluent?
George
All
Oliver
I know is
from
Kia
Twizzle.
Water. I'm going
I've
home
said
with that
before,
one.
it's an honor for me
They
to
told me one more and I
put that
forgot.
on your turnouts, to go up honoring your fellow
Thank you.
fighters from your country is an honor. Thank you for letting me do that.
You got one? Did you just get it? Okay. Have a good climb. What do you got here?
Kenbarum, Angora.
You know about him, right? You look
Said
him
it's
up,
an honor
Patty
for
Brown.
me to put that on
Kevin
you for your
Smith.
climb, honoring
This
your
guy
country's
was in my old company. I was a
fallen.
lieutenant here in 1993 for the 93 World Trade Center. Freddie Sheffield, gentleman.
Yep.
Greg Atlas from downtown.
William Robert McClin from Wellington.
Ruben Carrera, very nice. And now you're getting Benjamin Berry.
Alfred Hiller from
Oh, do you?
Christchurch.
Okay. Have a good climb. You want to take the tool
You
with
have
you
the
too?
honor companies of bringing
Halligan or something?
your
You want to take a
country's
couple tools up
fallen
too?
firefighters up. George Oliver from Auckland.
So just work your way through, Chiefs. Guys come forward, eh? You guys come forward, your last group. Come up to here. Okay, everybody at Sally.
Did you want to give those last two coming through, or these two?
Yeah, you see I don't know what the chief wants to do. So.
Benjamin Berry? You have one already? I'm sorry. Oh, you're all set.
A.C. Allen
but
from
I'm
New
ready.
Plymouth.
Are you set? Deputy Chief Fire Officer? So
David Sloan from Weber.
Benjamin Berry, guess what year? You get a prize. Excellent. Have a nice climb. George Parker.
Leonard Goodman from New Plymouth.
1902.
Thank you.
From New Plymouth.
Can I just see your tags?
Even before my parents' time.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice climb.
Richard Ridings from Davenport.
Derek Lovell from 2008. He's from Brigade Hamilton. Not that long ago, 2008. Should remember him. First, I put this on, then we have these processes in America, you know. We follow them.
Thank you, sir.
James Edwin Waters, 1955, from
Jim Jameson.
and you're a Kiwi. So I don't feel bad. I can't pronounce it if you can't.
Thank you very much.
Have a great climb.
Fireman Skalisky.
John Scott,
Dunedin.
Auckland, 1989. That's pretty current. Have a nice climb.
1883 from Dunedin.
William again from Squad 218. I didn't know him personally.
With me
Squad
is
18
Dave
Hugo,
Hatton,
1945.
who had the opportunity to read out some of our names in the basket today. So Dave, do you want to explain to me a little bit of what your role is with Fire and Emergency New Zealand?
So I'm a acting district manager for the Auckland City Fire District, and that's what brings me down here today.
So the opportunity we get today is reflect on the qualities of the individuals that we have lost, the 343 firefighters in New York and our own. Well, what sort of connection does that does the memorial today have with our firefighters, and what do you see in our firefighters that you generally see around the world?
There's a massive connection between all firefighters throughout the world, and they talk about water dividing us, when what we say is water connects us all. So when we talk to our brother chiefs and that from America, there's so many commonalities that we talk about the same stuff. We're passionate about firefighting, we're passionate about our people. So there is all those skill sets that we all endure and we all respect about every firefighter throughout the world, really, because we're all cut from the same cloth, so to speak.
We are, and that's one of the things that I've learned through this, is that whilst New York is a larger city than Auckland, the parallels between how our fire services operate and the types of people that are in it. Have you had an opportunity to talk to the chiefs directly while you're here?
Yeah, for sure. They came to our my office, and we sat for 3 hours just telling stories, and that's what I mean, that when Bob and John popped into the office, we just started chatting, and we chatted like we've been in each other's companies forever, you know. And that's what that common bond is. There's always commonalities with firefighters, so it was a really easy connection right from the bat, and they're just they're lovely characters, and it's really been nice seeing them today tell their stories about each one of those names that we were putting on our firefighters to carry up of one of our fallen brothers. So yeah, it's been a wonderful experience meeting the chiefs from the US, and it's been very comfortable, and yeah.
I think that's one of the easy things that we get, is that you can virtually walk up to a fire station and introduce yourself as a fellow firefighter, and I had an opportunity to do that over the last month when I was in Canada, and the way that our brother firefighters open their arms and say, come in, we had barbecues organised for us and all sorts of things. So I think it's a special thing that we enjoy, and today's opportunity to remember their names and read their names out. Have you got any advice for people around this memorial service and how to get involved?
Involving's really easy. So what connects us here is that whanangatanga that binds us all together, and today is actually Wednesday. So Wednesday for the firefighters in Auckland is a whanangatanga day, where we just spend time connecting with our people, get out from the desk and go and talk to our people to know what's
no less relevant for the fire service as it is for a lot of organisations. Look, I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with me, and thank you for your contribution today, and I think it's a special thing we get to do. Is there any final words for anyone watching?
Oh, it's just been a fantastic day. The firefighters have really enjoyed doing this event, and it's just been a special day, you know.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Welcome everyone. We've got a couple of guys here that have come up from, is it Katikati? Nice. So who are you guys? Which brigade are you from?
Hi guys, my name is Harare. I'm from Katikati Brigade, and I am RCFF, recruit firefighter at Katikati Volunteer Fire Brigade. That's all.
I'm Lucas Thompson. I'm from Harwood Fire Brigade. I'm also a recruit firefighter with them as well. Oh, not with them, but yeah, same rank. So, yeah.
Perfect. So a couple of recruit firefighters, and you're already taking on the stairs up in Auckland. Today is about remembering the firefighters. We know that there's an inherent risk in what we do. So what's the connection that you guys have brought with you today? Are you going to go back and talk about it with your brigade?
Yeah, sure. I'll be pretty excited to talk to everybody if they're willing on hearing on what me and our firefighter here, Grayson, had done. It's good to support for our brigade, to support the other firefighters that used to serve this country as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, and like support those that have passed on, you know, those who were in the past, I guess, served with us. Yeah.
Well, look, as recruit firefighters, you guys are the firefighters of tomorrow. My advice to you is that remember that the training that you're going through at the moment is built off the stories and the experiences of lots of people, and no less important are the 69 firefighters that have lost their lives in the service of their communities. So the message for you guys is to go well, and learn everything you can as you go through your firefighting journey. So thanks very much for taking the opportunity to have a chat with me, and thanks for being part of today's memorial.
So fantastic, fantastic.
As the day progresses and the chiefs have handed out all of the tallies, we'll now move on to the chiefs talking about the fallen.
I'm John Filer. I'm a firefighter, Engine Company 54 in Midtown Manhattan. I was 3 years on the job in 2001.
I'm Bob Baines. Retired 10 years. I retired as an assistant chief as the Queensborough Commander, which is a borough in the city of New York. And in 2001, I was battalion chief assigned to Battalion 4-1, the Pride of Flatbush in Flatbush, Brooklyn. And we're here to talk about some of the friends, not all, but some of the friends we lost in 2001 and honor them. So I have the first one here is Tommy Farino. At the time, he was a captain in Engine Company 26 in Midtown Manhattan. Tommy and I go back to when we were both firefighters. He was a brilliant young man. He was on the battalion chief's list. He actually is remembered as a battalion chief, and he would have been a deputy chief and probably more.
This is Joe Angelini Jr. He was in Fort Truck, which is in our firehouse, and his father was also killed on September 11th. His father was one of the most senior guys in the fire department. Joe Angelini was an unbelievable mechanic, tinkerer, fixer. Everything in the firehouse that needed to be done, he did.
Captain Billy O'Keefe. When I started the job in a company called Engine 224 in Brooklyn Heights, Billy was there already. He was senior to me. We instantly became very good friends. He lived in Staten Island, very dedicated family man. And what I remember most about him as a firefighter, just laughing so hard at some of the stuff that went on. And he had recently been promoted to captain, and he was in Division 15, and he was down there with our chief of department, Pete Gansey, on September 11th.
Firefighter Scott Capicco, he was in my probationary fire school class in New York City Fire Academy. He actually stood 2 places away from me in line.
Peter Martin, he was a lieutenant in Rescue 2. He was obsessed with being a firefighter and officer in a rescue company, especially Rescue Company 2. He went through many hoops to get back to Rescue 2 as a lieutenant. He's also my neighbor out where I live on Long Island. Our 2 sons were the same age. They were in the Boy Scouts together. And I had a recent photo of Pete and my son and his son on a Boy Scout outing in a raft on one of the rivers in upstate New York.
Firefighter Steven Siller. He was a firefighter in Squad 1 in Brooklyn. And on September 11th, he got to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which leads to the Trade Center in Manhattan. There was no vehicles going through, so he grabbed his fire gear and he ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. And he was killed in the collapse of the towers. His family dedicated a charity that helps firefighters, police officers, military people, and it's the Tunnel to Towers Fund. It is one of the greatest charities you could ever donate to because they support everyone that's in emergency services and in the military. They pay off a lot of people's mortgages. They help people out because there's all these guys left behind families, children, wives. His foundation, which carries his name, Stephen Siller Foundation, is a very wonderful organization.
It's called the Tunnel to Towers. In addition to all those folks, they respond to all disasters in America and have a long list of volunteers, mostly firefighters, retired firefighters. And when the hurricane hit down in southwest Florida, Ian, they were one of the main groups down there. And they never asked who you were or where you came from. Your house needed to be repaired, they repaired it. It's incredible how much this Towers to Tunnel Foundation has progressed. And one of the biggest positives they have is it's instant gratification. If you need help tomorrow, it's no forms, they're there the next day to help you. He must be very proud of what his brother and his family did. Lincoln Quape, I always found Lincoln interesting. He was a firefighter in 234 in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and he went to Rescue 2, which was his love. He was so happy to be there. His family actually wrote a song about him going there and how happy he was. And I actually like to talk about him because when I was a battalion chief post World Trade Center, they had decided that the family wanted his ashes spread through the nozzle of a line going into a working fire that Engine 234 was first due at. And it's usually not the battalion I would be in, we're the adjoining battalion, but I was honored enough to be there that day, and I happened to be up by the nozzle, asking, what are you doing? And they told me, and I said, that's just awesome.
Been lucky to catch this gentleman because he's not far from heading back down south. So tell me a little bit about yourself. It's not, and I'm guessing that this isn't your first rodeo.
Not my first rodeo. Hit me up in 2009 and I might have been climbing on board the horse then. So yeah, no, I've been climbing since 2009 and doing the memorial climb since its inception to here, because I never climbed the memorial climb at the BNZ building when it was first orchestrated there. So yeah.
Fantastic. So how many different countries have you done a climb in?
I think it's 4.
4 countries, and they all memorial climbs?
No. Obviously there is the memorial element, but the likes of in Melbourne, there's also a Eureka climb, which is up the, well, it's the Eureka Tower actually, and there's a component for emergency services workers, so there's about 50 that get lucky enough to get to climb up that. So I don't wish it upon anyone because it's held in November, and I'm not sure if you know the Melbourne climate, it's starting to warm up then. Yep. Yeah.
So you've got a connection with the US, and I know that you've got a couple of bits of memorabilia about some of the guys that you've climbed for. So what's climbing in the US like? Are you going to a memorial climb in the US?
Yeah, I've done 4 of the 5 New York climbs that were held, and that climb got brought about by 2 gentlemen that have visited our climb, Chris Barber and John Mills, who's a really close mate of mine who actually lost his father on that day. So yeah, it's pretty special to just be able to come back here and just pay tribute to not only his father but to everyone else that was lost on that day.
Look, and that's the important part. When everyone was standing at the beginning of the memorial, and I've had an opportunity to talk to you before that, and knowing that there are people in that crowd that are not very far away from the people that we're here to recognise is special for a lot of us. You'll be back next year?
Yeah, I think I'll be back here in May first and then back again in September. So yeah, I mean, Tony Scott and his team put on a pretty bloody good outing, whether it be today or even in May, so why not support this? And obviously in May it's pretty close to me as well because it's for blood cancer and my sister's being diagnosed now, so it's almost come full circle, so it's all relative for me. But yeah, and thank you for you turning out today and helping out in your wee role there too.
Hey, look, thanks very much, mate. Now, I know you have a plane to catch, and we have some footage that we're about to play, which will be for Engine 54-4 in New York.
They put their life before somebody else's life. And that is the most noble thing anyone could ever do.
Deputy Chief Edward Girardi, Battalion 9.
Captain David Woolley, Ladder 4.
Captain Daniel O'Callaghan, Ladder 4.
Firefighter Jose Guadalupe, Engine 54.
Firefighter Leonard Regaglia, Engine 54.
Firefighter Christopher Santora, Engine 54.
Firefighter Paul Gill, Engine 54.
Firefighter Alan Feenberg, Battalion 9. Firefighter Carl Asaro, Battalion 9. Firefighter Joseph Angelini Jr., Ladder 4.
Firefighter Samuel Otis, Ladder 4.
Firefighter Michael Haub, Ladder 4.
Firefighter John Tipping II, Ladder 4.
Lieutenant Michael Lynch, Ladder 4.
Firefighter Michael Brennan, Ladder 4.
They were going inside to try to save people. And that's why I say their names all the time. Because their children, their grandchildren, their neighbors, and people that have never heard of September 11th need to know what they did that day. And it's a remarkable thing. It really is.
Firefighter Christopher Santora.
Daniel O'Callaghan.
Joseph Angelini Jr.
Paul Gill.
Samuel Otis.
Michael Haub.
Alan Feenberg.
Leonard Regaglia.
Carl Asaro.
Jose Guadalupe.
Michael Brennan.
John Tipping II. Woolley.
Edward Girardi.
Michael Lynch.
Got a couple more firefighters with me here. Tell me, who are you guys and whereabouts are you from?
Cool, my name's Shani and I am currently in the Taira and Whitianga Brigade on the Coromandel Peninsula.
My name is Rochelle. I'm from Onarahi in Whangarei.
In Whangarei. So you've both made a little bit of a journey to get here. So what motivates you to come to Auckland from out of town, and how have you found today for a memorial service for our fallen firefighters?
Yeah, no, it's always a beautiful experience. Rochelle and I both just did our QFF course together, so it's really nice to be reunited. So, yeah.
Yeah, same. This is my first time doing the memorial climb. It's just really touching and humbling to be able to be a part of it. So, just really nice to be here.
And I agree, when we get the opportunity to listen to 343 names being read out from the New York firefighters and 69 of our own, it does give you plenty of time to pause and reflect about what we do for our communities and how we build our skills and knowledge of some of the incidents that have happened in the past that have affected our own. So I know we've got some more footage to play and we'll move on to the Chiefs Part 2, but I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today and taking part in the memorial, and importantly keeping the guys' names alive and carrying their tallies up the tower. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Firefighter Gerald Dewan. He was from Ladder Company 3. He was detailed to our firehouse probably about a month before September 11th of 2001. What set him out in my mind as I was hearing him speak, and he had a very thick Boston accent. And I asked him, I said, where are you from? He said, from Boston. He had tried to get on the fire department up there. His father, his two uncles, his brother were on the job, but just wasn't able to get on. He moved to New York and he was able to get on our job. And unfortunately, he was also killed on September 11th, but picking that out, that comes from a long line of firefighting families, which a lot of the people here are legacies. They come from other places to come together, and they came to get on our job because that's how much he wanted to be a firefighter. Even though it wasn't his hometown, he made it his hometown.
Jeff Guja is a lieutenant, promoted out of Ladder 31 in the South Bronx. Ladder 31 is in quarters with Engine Company 82. The famous book, Report from Engine Company 82, is his company. And he was on a short detail in headquarters. He came across the Brooklyn Bridge, and he took some fire equipment from ladder 10 and engine 10, and he was killed in the collapse in front of the Deutsche Bank on the street. I remember him because I supervised his recovery, and I always felt guilty. I was assigned to stay at the Trade Center, and I couldn't go to the wake to speak to his family about how we found him.
Firefighter Robert Lane, Engine 55, also a Proby School classmate of mine in the same squad.
Battalion Chief Larry Stack was in the Safety Battalion. He was not assigned operations that day. He was working on what we call an investigation of the Father's Day fire, where we lost 3 firefighters. And he decided him and his aide would go down to help. And I'm very good friends with his son, Michael. And in his honor, they started a memorial fishing tournament they did for 15 years out of Montauk, New York, which grew. And after 15 years, a friend of mine, John, and I took over the tournament, and John ran with it. And they started a foundation called Fight for Firefighters. And what they do is, it started being firefighter families, but it expanded to anyone in need. The money they make, they build ramps and decks for disabled folks. Don't have to be a firefighter, cop, military. You call for need, John shows up, and they take care of it. He was honored this year by the Holy Name Society as the Firefighter of the Year for his actions.
Lieutenant Dan O'Callahan, Ladder 4. When I first got to Ladder 4, I was new in the fire department, and if you wanted to talk about somebody that was 100% on board everything that went on in the firehouse and about knowing your job and being excited about your job and being gung-ho, that was Dan O'Callahan. I can remember going to a fire, sitting in the jump seat of Ford truck, and he's up front, and hear the radio, comes out, it's a working fire, and he's banging on the window, it's a job, get ready to go, and you better get ready because he's going to be jumping off that truck and you got to be on his tail. That was Dan O'Callahan. He was 100% in all the time.
I knew Danny, he was in ladder 165 as a firefighter. I was in the adjoining company, and he was a star. I mean, besides being extremely handsome, he lived up to that completely. Everything John said is accurate. I have Captain Timmy Stackpole, another family that ran with a foundation, the Stackpole Foundation, that does incredible charity work. Timmy's nickname was Jobs. No one was more into going to work in fires than him. He was a lieutenant in Ladder 103. We had a fire on Atlantic Avenue with a catastrophic collapse. We lost a couple firefighters there. Timmy was burnt severely, in his feet especially. No other person would have the perseverance to fight back for full duty. It took him years to get back. He got promoted to captain. He was surplus that day, and he was up in Division 11 with Dennis Cross. And when they went across, Timmy jumped in the seat. When they got there, they were with the aide and my buddy Ray Riley. And Dennis Cross said, "We only have 2 masks, only 2 people can come." Stackpole, Timmy ripped the mask away from Ray and said, "You got to meet us, get a mask and meet us." And they never made it in the building. They got caught by the North Tower collapse before they got in.
After he was burned, during his long rehabilitation, I had the privilege of meeting him when he came to our probationary class to speak to us about wearing your personal protective gear and how important it is. And he showed everybody his burns, and it really was a driving force for everybody to realize that what an attitude about having to come back on the job was. He was so burned where most people would have just packed it in and I'm never going to do this again. But he fought to get back on the job, to show that he had full range of motion and could do the job. And he was able to share with us his story of that fire and what happened to him.
As part of the memorial service that we have, the New York Chiefs have an opportunity to have a dinner with a number of people, and at that dinner I met a gentleman by the name of James, and he's with me now. So James, tell us a little bit about your connection with New York.
Well, I grew up in New Jersey, just across the river from Manhattan. I watched the World Trade Center go up in the 60s and early 70s. And I remember when it opened about 1973 or so. After I graduated from high school, I ended up going to college in New York, and I saw the World Trade Center every day. I could see it from my fire escape. When I moved here to New Zealand in 2000, my wife and I went up to the top for one last look, June of 2000, and that was the last time we were there. Sadly, I knew someone who was on one of the planes that hit the second tower, and had a connection with several friends from my classmates that worked at the World Trade Center, and fortunately they survived. So yeah. But I'm here every year because this is the only place for me today to be here to honor the memory of all those who we lost, firefighters and friends and family.
And I think that the important part about it is that New York is a massive city. The Twin Towers were a significant part of the New York skyline. And seeing them grow from when they were built to what happened on the September the 11th, how do you feel that that has affected your journey as a firefighter?
Well, first of all, it was unbelievable what happened. I mean, it's still unbelievable if I look at the skyline and I don't see it. As a firefighter, I was. It's hard to grasp the enormity of how many people, how many firefighters were lost, and I've done this climb now many times, and when I'm going up in this stairwell, I recognize people that I've seen, their faces on the wall that I've seen on previous climbs, and you know, each one has a story and has family and friends and colleagues they left behind, and it's heartbreaking. And even at 23 years later, it's still something that I think it's important for us to all remember and hopefully honor their memories, and it'll never happen again.
Absolutely. The story of how the firefighters are linked to that, I mean, we talk about the bravery, the sacrifice, the service of those guys on that day, and it is difficult to convey to people the scale of the event and the scale of the buildings that were affected. With people that weren't born when that tragedy happened, what do you think are important things to remember?
Probably like anything, like World War II and the Holocaust and whatever, you know, those events in our history have to be remembered so that they're not repeated, and to honor those that we lost. And it's one of those events that I think will forever be remembered for that reason, to remember those we lost until it doesn't happen again.
Look, and I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with me and being part of today's event. It's fantastic to meet someone from New York that understands that environment. We're going to move to a piece of footage about one of New Zealand's firefighters, Jim Hughes, and he's one of the 69 New Zealand firefighters we're celebrating here today as well. And we'll take an opportunity to reflect on the type of person that is involved in what we do and their story. So thank you very much for being with me today.
Is that all right?
That's perfect. Perfect. You're an absolute rock star. We talked as a production.
So I was 5. My older brother was 12. My sister was about 14 in 1961. And Jim would have been 16, 17. When we left England and came here. We were all born in Liverpool. Jim's and my grandparents were Irish and English. We were born with very adventurous parents, and they decided to come out to New Zealand. So we were on an ocean liner with a swimming pool, with a library, with you name it. It was a luxury liner, and we were going the furthest to New Zealand. I remember the farewell from Liverpool. It was held at one of my aunt's houses Everybody was crying and they'd been singing and everything all night. Oh, we're leaving. I won't see my aunties anymore. I won't see my uncles. And I won't be able to play with the poodle next door. And I burst into tears. And Jim always was very proud of this photo that he took. It's off the ship that brought us to New Zealand in 1961. And although Jim isn't in the photo, he was the one who took it. I think it was a box brownie. And it shows the ship in the background and Mum and me about to board the little boat, the tender that would take us back to the ship. That was in Aden. So a tremendous experience travelling around the world to a whole new country and a whole new life. We arrived in Wellington, a public holiday. It was Labour weekend and the place was basically shut. And then that evening we travelled by train to Auckland, and I do remember there was huge conniptions when the teenagers learned that there was no television in New Zealand, or there was very limited television in New Zealand, and that therefore there would be no cowboy TV shows. My brother, who was very, very artistic, one of the first paintings he ever did was from the North Shore, looking over at Auckland City at night, at the lights. And it was a beautiful painting. And we realised later that that was actually very close to where he died. Sort of a funny sort of, I hesitate to use the word premonition.
As I recall, that night, Jim and his crew responded to a motor vehicle accident on the motorway leading up to the harbour bridge. He was working around the pump panel, and a driver who was under the influence of alcohol went through a cordon and hit Jim, who was working beside the truck on the pump panel.
I knew Jim. I worked at Takapuna Fire Station in 1986 as a recruit firefighter, and Jim was at Birkenhead. And we'd often have interchanges through combined station training. My best mate, who I'm still very close with today, was actually in the original accident that Jim was attending and mopping up. It was a group of my friends that had gone into town and decided to get a minivan back to the shore, and they were clipped by a drunk driver themselves. The van rolled, and Waddy's friend Adam was unfortunately killed. He was visiting from Wales, and Waddy's son's actually named after Adam. And then to hear Jim was hit by a drunk driver, it was tragic. Two deaths that I'll always remember.
One of the first photos of the two of us together, I'm a toddler baby in a sort of high chair type thing, and he is showing me one of his turtles that he had. He created this whole little village for his turtles in our back garden. A love for animals was something he had, well, we all had, for his whole life.
I can remember someone recounting a story about Jim when he was at a fire in the city, might have been a car yard or something like that, and he was on a 70 mil delivery. He was holding it and Jim was supposed to be backing him up. And anyway, as he looked around, there was Jim coming out of the rubble, out of the mud, holding a little mouse, stroking a little mouse on the head, saying, "Look at him, he's afraid," or "he's frightened," or something, and that would be Jim, you know.
Play the guitar. He could also play Spanish guitar. He was a painter. He had exhibitions. Definitely always something going on in his head that he wanted to do, some project. He loved gardening. He was a sailor. He loved the outdoors. So he was a really interesting guy. Amazing how he organised his life. He was very like my father. Everything was just so, very, very neat and tidy, all his tools everywhere. He taught himself French. He was incredibly good looking to the point where any of my friends used to come and visit me. If my brother was there, you know, you knew they wouldn't be listening or watching. He would just walk into a room and women would just be, you know, wow. He could ride horses bareback. He was just the most incredibly versatile, diverse person.
But he was also really good at tying knots. So that was his, I wouldn't say his speciality, but he made sure if you tied a knot, you tied it properly. I know as a recruit firefighter at the time, that was one thing that I knew I had coming up was getting reassessed on my ability to tie knots, and Jim would spend a lot of time teaching you knots and making sure that you knew the right application to use it and how to tie the knot.
Funnily enough, he had rung me a week after my birthday. I had turned 38, I think, and he rang and said a few days later, "Jack, I forgot your birthday," which made me laugh because, as I said to him, "You usually do." I said, "Don't worry." He'd been living with my mother at the time. I said, "Don't worry. Mum sent a card and a gift and said it was from you as well." And there was a pause, and he said, "But that's not really good enough, Jack. I should have remembered." He said, "I'm sorry." And about 5 days later, he was killed.
I think it's important that we remember those of our brothers and sisters who have fallen in their line of duty. It's a request to carry Jim's tally because it's a reminder to not only myself but everyone else who does it. We do put ourselves in danger. Sometimes we are put in danger through no fault of our own. It's also a great memory to Jim to keep his memory alive, because in that what happened that night doesn't get forgotten.
As tragic as Jim's death was, it changed the way we operated operationally around a lot of things. Yeah. When I look at Jim's name, I look at the date of the incident, I can actually see Jim's full head of curly hair actually. He was a fit-looking chap. Look at me now, and the years have passed, and I was a young recruit then with dark hair, and I always thought Jim always cut a good figure at his age, which, you know, he must have been approaching 50 at the time. Yeah. So yeah, I look at this and there are fond memories, you know, camaraderie, things that we've shared. And then, you know, I think about the people that helped Jim as well, so people that I worked with closely at Takapuna.
And after Jim's death, there were lots of memorials, of course, and there are memorials for him at a variety of fire stations. But also the council established the Jim Hughes Memorial Award for the Maritime Safety Officer of the Year. So he's immortalised, commemorated in that as well. And I remember once when Francis and I were courting, as we used to say, this fire engine driving by, and I suddenly heard my name yelled out, and it was Jim on the back. And that was the first I knew he'd joined the fire service. I asked Mum, and she said, "Oh yes, he's trained," and you know, so he felt very proud of the job and his role in keeping people safe. It was a job he did with a lot of pride, and I think feeling part of a team too. It was really important to us as a family that we had the support of the fire service when Jim was killed. We felt that they were devastated by his loss too, and I think that was really helpful. So yes, we think of him whenever we see a fire truck or the tower where people train, you know, to climb and through smoke and so on. And I think it's also reassuring for firefighters' families that they realise that their loved ones won't be forgotten either. Because families never forget that day, never forget the number of years. So very, very heartwarming.
We get to meet the firefighters, and I have a lady here with me by the name of Charlotte. Charlotte, do you want to tell us a little bit about the brigade and where you're from?
My name's Charlotte. I am from the Te Aroha Fire Brigade, voluntary, and I have just joined in April.
So when you joined in April, did you think you would be climbing the Sky Tower?
Eventually, yeah.
So what was the experience like today? You had an opportunity to stand with all the other firefighters and hear the names being read out. Tell me what's going through your head when you heard that?
It was really powerful, really. It's such a special thing to represent and be a part of. Yeah, it was really special.
Did you come here with any other members of your brigade?
Yes, there are 3 other members here today, my father being one of them, and 2 other members.
Fantastic. So there's a firefighting family starting to have there.
Yeah.
Very good. So up the tower, tell us about what the climb up the tower was like. What did you see and how did you feel, and what was the general vibe of what was happening?
It was really hard, but there was such great support from the other members climbing. You know, you took a break, but everyone else was encouraging you along. So it was just really cool. It gets really hot in the gear, and all of the posters. It was just, yeah, it was really special.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us. It's fantastic to see someone who's so young and new to a brigade. And I think building this into what you do as a firefighter is really important, that we keep the 69 names alive of our firefighters and also remember the 343 from New York. So go well back to your brigade. I think you've served them very well, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
We will cut to some further footage from the New York Chiefs talking about their fallen firefighters.
John Moran, a battalion chief, he was one of our Special Operations Command battalion chiefs, of which we lost 4 out of 5. I started in the police department, as did John, and we were actually in the same squad. We sat next to each other. He got on the fire department first, ended up in ladder 123, same firehouse as Lincoln Quape, and I always tried to get to that firehouse as I came on, but things worked out fine. John had got injured at the Father's Day fire, and he was also a lawyer, and he came down to the trade center and lost his life.
Father Michael Judge, he was one of our chaplains in the FDNY. He had been at an event at our firehouse around September 8th or 9th, so I actually got a chance to talk to him, and he was a very dynamic priest. Did a lot of great work, and I can remember he would always walk around no matter what the time of the year was, whether it was winter, and he would walk around in sandals because that was the order that he was ordained in. They were always walking around, you know, in their sandals through Manhattan, whether you're in snow or whatever. And I believe he was the first one that was actually officially declared on that day. He was the first victim from the fire department.
He's famous for the saying, if you really want to make God laugh, tell him what you have to do tomorrow. Brian Hickey, I grew up in a job with Brian. He was captain of Rescue 4 in Queens. He was working that day as covering in Rescue 3 as the captain in the Bronx. Brian had just returned from his injuries from the Father's Day fire. It may have been his first tour back, and he lost his life with Rescue 3.
Firefighter Michael L. Ferris from Engine 22, he was in my Proby school class. During our class time that we were in there, 12 weeks at our academy, there was a fatal fire. I believe it was Vandalia Avenue with the 3 of them, Bohan, Bop, and Cavalieri.
Correct.
So being brand new in the fire department and coming into the academy that day to tell you that you just lost 3 brothers. What Michael did is that we developed a t-shirt to make money to send to the families. And he had written the poem that was on the back, and that was like our class poem and slogan, and that was Michael Ferris.
Kevin O'Rourke was also a firefighter in Rescue 2. And the reason I picked him out among all his other accomplishments was, if you happen to see the play, and that became a movie, Come From Far Away, close, which was about people that were stranded at Gander Airport. If you see the movie, the lady who talks about she doesn't know the status of her son, that was Kevin O'Rourke's mom. So Kevin O'Rourke's mom was stuck up at Gander, having no idea what happened to Kevin. And he had lost his life with Pete Martin and Lincoln Quape and the Western Rescue Company too.
Firefighter Alan Feinberg, he was actually the battalion aide in Battalion 9 that day with Chief Garrity. Al was another larger-than-life character, very outgoing, very gregarious. So I remember him well, but most importantly is his daughter is very close to our firehouse now. She has twins, and her husband always come back. They're at our firehouse all the time. They come back because that was the last place that they remember their father being, was in the firehouse, and she's teaching, which would be Al's grandchildren now, about what he did and who he was. So we're very fortunate to see Tara and the twins all the time at the firehouse.
Lieutenant Mike Wacola from Ladder 5. I didn't know Mike that well. I'd met him a few times, but I knew his brother, Dennis, better. Dennis, tremendous, two brothers, tremendous people and tremendous officers. Dennis retired as a captain, but I wanted to single out Mike because it was his last night. He was retiring the next day. They were planning his last dinner that night, and in the morning, he lost his life.
Keith Glasgow, he was in my probationary fire class. He was in a neighboring company, 21 truck, down the street from us. What stands out about Keith was he's a giant of a man. He was about 6'7" and about 230 pounds. He was actually drafted into the National Football League, sustained a injury, so he didn't continue in his football career. But he was a giant of a man, gentle giant, soft-spoken, really hard-working guy. It was great to have known him.
Assistant Chief Donald Burns, he had at times been the chief of operations. His son Patrick is the captain of Rescue 4 now. And he was lost in the South Tower. He was had the command post in the lobby of the South Tower. And I single him out because the staff chiefs at the time all said, for the reorganization of what we need now, the guy we need most is Donald Burns. And they lost him.
Firefighter Chris Santora, he was one of our newest guys in 54 engine. He was only in the firehouse a short time. We had actually switched shifts that day. Chris was working my tour. I had worked for him previously, which is a common thing in the fire department. His father was a retired chief of the fire department, Al. And we get to see his mother and father at the firehouse quite often, and his sisters. He has 3 sisters. And Chris was such a quiet guy in the firehouse, but we came to know him from his family afterwards, and they said he was just the opposite. He was a school teacher in the city of New York. He left that job when his fire department number came up because he always wanted to be a firefighter and follow in his father's footsteps.
So an important part of the proceedings today is passing on a tonga. Now it is passed from one brigade to the next for it to recognise a fallen firefighter.
Camera that wants to come around and maybe explain what this memorial is about for the people that are watching. So we travelled a few years ago. We travelled to New York via Seattle Island, last brigade, to receive some pieces of the trade tower, and they've used it in their southern station for the entrance. So we actually carried these pieces from Seattle back to New York, back to New Zealand, and they've set into. We have a carver in the far north, Anthony Collins, and the memorial is from the $1 bill, and there's 2 of them, meaning the Twin Towers. On top, pieces are set in from the North Tower. Currently, this memorial spent the last year with our Middleway Brigade for the passing of David and Craig. And now we would like to present it to the Auckland Brigade. I'd like Dave Hatton to come forward and receive this. And this is on behalf of... So starting in 1878, William Godwin, Arnold Joseph Gadding, Ronald Booth, Eric Bright, Royd and Victor Hugo, Ernest Herring, George Oliver, my great uncle, Uncle Albert Clark, Noel Matheson, John Scott, and Jim Hughes. all these firefighters served in multiple Auckland stations, and for the next year we'd like this to sit in your offices up there, and can be told about the men that we know that were on this list. So could you please have Group Manager Hatton. Look after it for a year, Dave, and we'll come and you'll bring it back next year. Thank you. Awesome. Group Manager Woon to come forward, please. First of all, can I have John Fuller please come forward? Chief, sorry, we're going to do Chief first. Chief, can you come forward? At the end, we always have something to say thank you for giving up your week to come out to New Zealand and for me to run you ragged for a week. But we've had 2 pendants carved. They were what were handed to me yesterday when we went into that car park. But I was receiving something else. This is an axe head. You want to put it on for me? Put it on for me. This is perseverance.
It fits over my head. Oh, it's a tight fit.
So it'll get there.
Hope this isn't being filmed. There could be a lot of fun back in New York if they see that.
So it's an axe head.
Thank you, Dave.
And our second one is Mania. The Mania is the protector of evil. Since you're still serving, I'd like you to have this. This is gonna keep you safe, John, from us. It's got a small head.
Chief's head, firefighter's head. Big difference.
Yours is bigger.
On behalf of everyone in New Zealand, guys, thank you so much for sharing the few days, the week with us before this event. I hope you've enjoyed today, for sharing your day. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be in New Zealand. Everyone here has been wonderful to us. And on behalf of the 8.5 million residents of the city of New York and our fire department in the city of New York and the entire United States, thank you for your hospitality, remembering us on this special day, and also remembering your own. Thank you.
So on a lighter note, so you all think that Scotty is dismissing us, right? He's got us running ragged the rest of the day. But if you volunteer to help Scotty, just so you know, he found out my flight isn't until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. He says, you know what? I get you to do a presentation at the airport at 2 o'clock, you know. You can change at my flat, get in the uniform and head over. But it's been wonderful, and you represent the New Zealand firefighters, and you are made from the same thing that the New York firefighters are made from. Just a pleasure being around you. Thank you.
Very good. Awesome.
This is when you should have got the guys in, though.
Awesome. Change, we're gonna, thanks so much, Bob.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Pendants that you've been given are valuable to you because it's been
Do you want to take this off, Mike?
This is a pendant that was given to me.
This thing will just run live. You want to take this from me before I get in trouble?
Greenstone, I've worn it ever since he gave it to me. So
let me tell you, Jake.
So with a large part of the formal ceremonies finished, there's an opportunity for us to recognise Steve Barubi. Steve Barubi was a member of the New York Fire Department and had tendered New Zealand about 2 years ago. And it's an opportunity to highlight Steve, who is now no longer with us, and the work that he does both in New Zealand for his visits here and for his home country in New York.
My name is Steve Barubi. I'm a captain in Ladder Company 111-111 in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. I've been on the fire department now for 36 years. I'm going to talk about some of the members of Engine 214 and Ladder 111, my house, that passed away that day. So the first person I'd like to talk about is Chris Sullivan. Chris was a member of Ladder Company 111. That's my firehouse. He was the lieutenant working, but he worked across the floor. What we mean by that is we have 2 fire trucks in our firehouse, and he wasn't working in Ladder 111 at the time. He was working in Engine Company 214. The members in 214 are the members that we lost along with Chris Sullivan. Chris was a big, strong guy, tall, athletic. He loved the outdoors, camping, sports. And he had 2 young sons, and he was introducing them to all of the loves that he had had with athletics and sports and stuff. His sons, he lived for his sons. He lived to be with them and enjoy the outdoors with them. One of his sons now is on the verge of possibly becoming a city firefighter. So this might be one of those instances where the son follows the father into the fire department. Another person I'd like to speak about is John Florio. John was also extremely athletic, but he wasn't as tall as Chris. He was a short bull, really strong, always downstairs in the basement working out with weights. He loved Metallica and heavy metal, and he would always play heavy metal loud as he worked out downstairs. So if you heard that noise coming from the cellar, you knew that John was downstairs in the cellar working out. John had a son and a daughter when he passed away, and John's son, Michael, is now a firefighter in my firehouse. So every day when Michael comes to work, he sees the picture of his father up on the wall, and he works under the guidance of his father.
My name is Michael Florio. I work in Ladder 111. I lost my father, John Florio. He was a fireman in Engine 214, Ladder 111, the Nut House in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. I know my father was very respected in the firehouse. He was a bit of a prankster, but he had amazing energy, and he was just the guy that you always wanted to be around. I'm honored to be able to work where my father worked. I walk in the firehouse every day and I see his pictures up on the wall and I see his memorials. I feel closer to him in a way because I was only 6 when he died. So I don't have too many memories, but being in the firehouse almost makes me feel close to him and makes up for some time that was lost. I've always wanted to be a fireman ever since elementary school. I wrote in my yearbook, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And the answer was always fireman, all the way from first grade up until high school. It's awesome. My dream actually came true, and I know my father is proud of me. I love hearing stories that the retired guys tell me about my father. Surreal for them as well, that they used to work with my father 20 years ago, and now they have me walking in as his son. I remember on 9/11, I was in school, and when the plane hit the towers, they evacuated the schools. They sent everyone home. Unfortunately, my dad ended up passing away. I just remember hundreds and hundreds of people coming to my house, firemen and my dad's friends and family. It was like that for close to 2 months, and people just showing their support. So it's awesome that 20 years later, people still remember. It's an honor to be on the job, walking in my father's footsteps. I know he was the type of guy that everyone wanted to be around. I know my dad would be looking down on me, extremely happy. I have twin boys at home, and one of them is named John. It's after my father, in honor of my father. Thank you for remembering my dad and the other 343 members that passed away on 9/11.
Person I'd like to speak about is Carl Badesian. Carl really gave of himself, and he gave to others. Carl had a spinal cord injury, and he wasn't going to be able to make it back to the fire department, but he worked and he worked and he worked and he rehabbed himself, and he was able to make it back into the fire department after that injury. He also was big with children's leukemia, and he did bone marrow transplants and actually saved a young girl's life through the bone marrow transplant so that she could continue to live. And that was the big-hearted guy. That was Carl Badesian.
Steve Barubi was appointed to the FDNY in December of 1985. After the academy, he was assigned to Engine 222 Triple Deuce in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, one of our neighboring engines. Steve spent the first 8 years of his formative firefighting years there before he followed the usual progression and transferred to a truck, Ladder 120, Watkins Street. I had once asked him why he didn't try to transfer to 111 as a firefighter. He said he tried to, but there were no spots for him. Little did he know at that time that the spot in 111 would one day be his. Steve was then promoted and would then go on to be a founding member of Ladder 133. It was there he would hone his leadership skills as a lieutenant. After an already storied career and companies all with great reputations, Steve was promoted to captain, where he found his way back to the 15th Division. He had spent some time covering in other firehouses who had eagerly asked him to stay and be their captain, but he had later explained to me that none of them were the right fit. Ladder 111 was the right fit. In March of 2006, Steve was assigned to Ladder 111, and the legend of Captain Barubi began. For 17 years, Captain Barubi sat at the helm of Ladder 111, serving the community of Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and beyond. After over 3.5 decades of climbing on and off rigs, responding to a myriad of fires and emergencies, wear and tear is inevitable, and in the fall of 2021, Steve injured his shoulder and was placed on light duty while it healed. We would talk and text often during that time, and in every exchange he would claim that all he wanted was to get back to the firehouse, back behind the red doors, as he would say. At this point in his almost 40-year career, Steve didn't have to prove anything to anyone. There were no more accomplishments he needed to achieve. He just wanted to get back on the rig as the captain. Being the captain of 111 was one of his greatest accomplishments and one of the things that brought him most joy. His intentions were never to demean or belittle, but to build and improve. Everyone had something to offer in his eyes, and he genuinely appreciated every effort that was made. He helped instill value into an individual's experience of being part of a team, and not surprisingly, the common denominator of those teams' goals were always to help people, to accomplish something noble, and to contribute to a greater good. As a new lieutenant in Ladder 111, like many fire officers and firefighters before me, I would often seek Steve's guidance, so much so that the saying, "What would Barubi do?" became a mantra amongst many of us. Steve had high FDNY morals. He held himself to an almost untouchable standard, holding himself accountable and making the people that worked with him be accountable. He did over 37 years on the FDNY. While doing so, he has seen it all, and for as long as I have known him, he always made the best educated decisions.
A day for a lot of people. It's got tinged with sadness, but it's been great to see all of the crews here taking time away from their day jobs like we do as volunteers in lots of places, taking their time away, and it might be a day off if you're a career firefighter, and investing that in exactly that. So I want to thank you for being part of today and for the work that you do for us, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you. I can't read it, sorry. All happy?
Firefighter Michael Boyle, Engine 33. He's the son of Jimmy Boyle, arguably one of our most famous UFA presidents. He returned as president after doing a long term. His dad, very involved politically, right up to post-World Trade Center, working Congressman Peter King with Homeland Security issues and following his father's footsteps. That day, he was actually working as a volunteer campaigning for the New York City primary for mayor, and he lost his life as he ran down there. Lieutenant Bob Wallace, I'd like to single him out. He's from Engine 205, but he was paying back the department a tour that he owed that day in Engine Company 226, where I was a lieutenant. And that was my group in the 1993 World Trade Center, and Bob lost his life with 3 members from Engine Company 226 that day. Andre Fletcher, I picked him out because he was in Rescue 5, but I knew him as a firefighter in Ladder 170. He has a twin brother on the job, which gets a little spooky when you would see him after. Andre was one of the founding members of our baseball team, the FDNY baseball team. We had a softball team forever, but he was one of the founding members of the baseball team. Terry Farrell is a firefighter in Rescue 4. I knew him from Engine Company 298, and his foundation is involved with blood testing for cancer research, as his stem cells were used early on to save someone's life. Probably should start with Chief Pete Gansey. Pete Gansey was a fireman's officer, fireman's chief, just a great chief of department. He was incredible how he dealt with some very political constraints with the commissioner at the time. Pete Gansey was the kind of guy that would walk by and pat you on the shoulder, and you just felt like $1 million. I met him in the field many times. He just made you, instilled confidence in you. And I like to believe Pete went down with the ship. He was the chief of department, and he lost his life when the North Tower collapsed.
Chief Gansey had been to our firehouse, and the same thing, he'd walk in and
yes, he was. We always like to say, hope his wife doesn't mind, but he was one of the greatest chief of departments, and he had a GED, equivalency diploma. So you always can say that education really just means education. Intelligence is intelligence. His 2 sons are on the job. Peter is a captain, and Chris is now a battalion chief. Probably will be the chief of department one day if he decides to take those tests. Cornell graduate. I think Pete was still proud. Firefighter Jimmy Ritchie's from Engine 4. I met him when he was a police officer, but his father, also Jimmy Ritchie's, just a famous officer and chief, incredible athlete. There would be fire department basketball games, and the score would be 70-66, and Jimmy scored 58 points. I mean, that's how good his father was. Everything he did well. Firefighter A, when I was a battalion chief, talked about the dad when he was a lieutenant. He said we would go out on building inspection, something the guys don't love. But we'd go out for 3 hours, and no one realized that we were the most efficient because you just had fun when you worked with Jim. I had a lot of things I won't say we've done with him, practical joke-wise with the dad, but the dad went and took a detail at the World Trade Center for the whole time, and it was a very unhealthy place to be. He's still with us, but he has significant damage from spending 6 months there. Paul Mitchell was from says Battalion 1, but he's a senior firefighter in Ladder 107. And I like to signal Paul out, because even though that was my battalion when I was lieutenant, not my house, this was the one guy in the firehouse that did everything right and took care of everything. His best friend, Billy Horoho, was with me down in Flatbush, and Billy went up to help up in that firehouse after. But Paul Mitchell was, if something was being done right, it was Paul, and if something was wrong, Paul wasn't there. And that's just how good of a person he was. And he was off duty. He was returning from an assignment in Manhattan and parked at his old firehouse and went over with the apparatus and lost his life. Firefighter John Vigiano. He was in Ladder 132, which was near me in the battalion, and I always loved, he'd just come over. He'd have a big smile on his face. We have a hood that you wear to protect your neck, and he always had his hood stretched out. It would be all the way down here, and he'd come up with a big smile on his face. So I knew his father. His brother Joe also was killed at the World Trade Center. He was a police officer in the emergency service. But John just always had this big smile on his face, and to talk about his dad. His dad was so proud. He only had 2 boys. He was so proud of them. And John, the father, is, I think, internationally known. He was a hero Vietnam Marine, and he went on to become a very successful officer in Rescue 2 and then again in Ladder 176. But he had a presence around him, and he had a great sense of humor. They were just such great people to know. And I don't want to go into details, but I supervised the recovery of John's brother Joe, and John the father was there. And you never saw a man of such class, never interfered, and it was all done. All he gave was a shake of head.
It's important when we go over these guys, pictures and their names and the background behind a lot of them, because the families, it's comforting to them. A lot of these people that we lost, we never recovered their bodies, and the people have the memories and where they were and what they did, and it's important as time goes by to remember those people, because they deserve to be remembered. They were heroes that day, and they always will be, and their kids, grandkids, relatives, everybody else needs to know the sacrifices that they made in the performance of their duty to try to save people when they were taken from us.
So yeah, whenever.
So an important part of today is the officials that help us with the memorial, and one of them is with me at the moment. Now, I know Ross is Ross, but I think that undersells a little bit of what you do and how you're connected with a number of organisations. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your job is and how you connected with Fire and Emergency New Zealand?
Thanks, Gareth. Kia ora koutou, ko Ross Bay tōku ingoa. I'm the Anglican Bishop of Auckland, but for 35 years I've also been part of what's now Fire and Emergency, and I'm with the Auckland Operational Support Unit. So Scotty got me involved in this event very, very early on in order to draw kind of my 2 lives together and to be able to offer the prayers that come right at the end of the ceremonial part. So it's very important for me to be involved. I think I really believe in whakapapa and whanaungatanga, and I think the way in which our fire brigades across the oceans are connected through what we do today, the opportunity to remember our own, going back all those years, I think it's an amazing thing. So huge privilege for me to be involved year by year.
Yeah, look, and the stories that we hear when we're here, we've got representatives from New York, we get to talk to family of the people that are included in one or other of the lists that we read out. How do you communicate that with the people that you deal with around what this event means, and how do you feel it connects us as firefighters?
Yeah, so I've climbed today, and a lot of people therefore in my other life talk to me about what I'm doing today, and I think it is that thing of the importance of memory and the example and inspiration of people who go before us. That means a lot to me, and I think that's something that makes sense to others as well. People can always think of the others in their life who've kind of inspired them in different ways. And for me, this is one of those events that allows us to capture that and to hold that and to push us on into the future in really good ways.
I had a really good opportunity to talk to a couple of people that were new recruits to Fire and Emergency New Zealand, and I explained to them that the people that we're here to represent today, that a lot of what we do and a lot of what we teach to firefighters is built on the tragedy that's gone before us. That's an important part for people to remember. For the youth of people joining Fire and Emergency New Zealand, what do you think they'll find as far as a culture when they come and see us?
Yeah, I'd like today to hope that, especially those who have been new to FENS and to what we've done today, that they'll really have sensed that whanaungatanga, it's one of our values, and that they'll feel more closely connected into who we are and what we do. I think we need events like this to kind of inspire us. I think people joining us new can look at us and go, wow, look at what we do, look at who we are. Yep. So you feel immensely proud being part of the organisation.
Absolutely, and today's been a proud day for a lot of people. It's got tinged with sadness, but it's been great to see all of the crews here taking time away from their day jobs like we do as volunteers in lots of places, taking their time away, and it might be a day off if you're a career firefighter, and investing that in exactly that. So I want to thank you for being part of today and for the work that you do for us, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Kia ora, Gareth, thanks.
Thank you. I can't read it.
And then he had a heart attack and passed. He was victim number one, Father Judge. He was the FDNY chaplain. He was also the chaplain for the Emerald Society Bagpipe Band. He was a historic figure when it comes to New York. Everybody loved him. He was a Franciscan priest. He did a lot with alcoholics, with AIDS patients. There's actually a group of people who want to make him a saint. He really, and I know a lot of people pray to him and everything else. He's really a very special. He was a real special guy, and he was casualty number one.
In New York City, I made my home. I love the streets, the very stones. Cared for my comrades, cherish my friends, loved all beginnings, had no time for ends. The city streets are full of woe. I saw suffering where I'd go. I did my best to console and heal, treat each human with full dignity. I never saw a reason to hate someone who thinks different than you. Each one has this anointed place, and the love reflected in their God's face. We all have sorrows, our share of trials. We all are sinners in each other's eyes. Love can ease the pain. God bestows love in so many ways. My feelings, and I have tried to look them squarely in the eye, to to be there when someone might call. For I know cruel well how hard it is to fall. I love the company of friends, the fire and the music sparkling in their eyes. But I achieved my heart's desire when I rode beside the ones who fight the fire. As I rise on this September morn, the sun is beaming down, the streets are warm. God's in his heaven and all is well. I will go forth and do his will.
Behind today's event. Now, Tony, I've had a great opportunity to talk to lots of people, and one of the things that struck me was the opportunity to chat to some of the younger firefighters that are coming along to the memorial. How important do you think it is that we connect the youth of our industry to some of the people that have been mentioned today?
It's invaluable. You know, I think we've been telling stories as a culture for 100,000 years, only writing things down for 10,000. To be able to pass stories across, for them to learn about what we've all been through. I mean, we go right back here to 1875 here in New Zealand, and of course, you know, it's only 23 years on from 2001, and you know, these guys are here in person to tell their story, and I think it's invaluable for our youngsters to learn.
Yeah, look, and I'm always surprised that when we actually go and talk to people, we find that some of the connections with them to the individuals that we're talking about are far closer than you might think, for New York being on the other side of the planet, being a city on a different scale. But the firefighters that come down from New York, how do they feel about the event that we had today?
I heard a saying, one of the previous chiefs told one of these ones that today is life-changing. So, you know, for us to be able to share this day with them, you know, we fit the two, and I think really well together, and it's so humbling to, I just can't even fathom losing 343 guys in a day, you know. I mean, it's bad enough losing 1 or 2, you know, and how hard it was for us to grieve over that. But, you know, putting those photos up, listening to the stories these guys tell in a week, almost feel like I actually knew some of these guys to a degree, and I've laughed hard about some stories, and I'm sure they're so stoked that things are still being told about them 23 years after the past, you know.
Look, there's been some very good work done today, mate, and I think having an opportunity to pull those stories out and make them real and repeat them is about what this day is about. It's about remembering those guys, celebrating what they contributed to the organisations that they were part of. So I've really enjoyed the day. I know there's lots of other people that are behind today, so did you want to mention anyone else?
Oh, look, you know, I get singled out for being this, but honestly, I've got a team behind me, and Heather, Matt, Brian, this huge crew, Armai, now Arua, there's a ton of them, and all the guys are come from up north to come and help. This film crew, Sharon and Reese and all you guys, you especially, you know, it just wouldn't be the same if we didn't have this coverage, you know, and we go right back to New York and around the world, and you can watch us anytime, you know, and again, we're sharing that story and passing on that, and we're promising, like we did 23 years ago, to not forget.
Absolutely. It's 23 years since the event, and I hope to be part of this event in the future. And thank you very much for your time and what you've been doing.
Awesome, Gareth. Thanks a lot. Cheers, mate. Thanks, eh?